This is episode 193 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel Circadian Rhythm Manzano.
Does not exist when you play in some odd hours.
It's my fault. Will fighting the trolls all weekend. Haywood.
Both online and in my make-believe world.
I want to learn. I want to know more about these trolls. I read it and I immediately thought about the little trolls that my daughter plays with, and that's probably not what you're talking about, but the image is still fun. All right, and Ryan extended is done.
They're about 30 foot tall.
They're about 30 foot tall. And Ryan, extended is done. Time to go to hyperspace. Punch it, Stan Azuski.
Vroom, vroom. Here we go into the land of safer zone.
Well, today we're going to be talking about the Delta Qualifier that happened over the weekend. Now, if you're listening to this, we're recording this live on Monday. For those of you guys know, we were live. We were live Wednesday, and we did a whole long talk talking about what AMG talked about. So what's going to happen is that talk is going to be placed at the end of this. So we'll be relatively shortish today, but altogether it'll be a pretty lengthy podcast. Plenty of content for you to get there. But we're going to be focusing the first part of the podcast, which you're listening to right now, on the Delta Qualifier results, followed by our excitement about the Squadron packs that were announced by AMG, as well as trying to look for little tidbits in what was on that Atomic Mass Games Star Wars transmission. So we're gonna jump right into it. So if you didn't know, we had the Delta Qualifier this weekend. It was in the London time zone, and it was our last extended event of the series. Like Ryan was mentioning, the next two qualifiers are hyperspace, and all three of the championship events are hyperspace. All the hype, just punching it all over the place. So what we're going to do is, first I want to talk about you know what, Marcel, I'm going to call you out. You ready? I'm going to call you out. We're going to start right now. We're going to start with some hot takes. Tell me why I posted the faction breakdown on our Facebook, and the first person to comment on it is Marcel Manzano, saying that it does not accurately reflect what happened at the event. I was like I will say at first I was triggered, and then I laughed. But my initial reaction was to be triggered. I was like, "You are my brother, Marcel."
Oh my God. What is up with you and your brother Ryan getting upset over little silly stuff? Yeah, we won't carry the beef over here. What was I gonna say? Because it's true. I looked at so you're looking at this tournament because not just for the cut. They're qualifiers, and you're trying to see who's the ace, right? That's the purpose. And then in both situations, you've had people that are 5-1 or 6-0 just opting out of the cut, and they're like, "Well, I don't want to play."
How many people opted out of the cut in Delta?
I think one, but you had just more one in Alpha.
But
agree. on top of that, it's just the numbers don't add up.
Well, okay. They don't. Let me be clear on why I created this document. People like that. Like, that's easy. It's digestible. It's tasty. Though I will tell you, your scrutiny of my presentation did inspire me to start creating another graphic for when we're done with all four of the qualifiers to break down the percentage of success per faction when we get to the end. All right? So you have inspired the next thingamajig that I will make, and I don't have a word for it right now, which is why.
And that's what I'll say.
Okay.
It's when there is, and that's why the people love you, Dion, because when somebody has a critique or a difference of opinion,
Yeah.
or they have an opinion, you're like, oh, there is an opportunity for improvement, or there is an opportunity to learn something, or there's an opportunity to turn the other cheek. Sometimes people forget that, and they're like, oh, I'm triggered, and they stay triggered.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, I definitely I agreed. I look at your comments like, you know what, he's right. So we'll get that for you guys, because I definitely, for Delta it is more accurate than for Alpha. The Alpha one is a little weird because of how many people opted out, which I found very strange. I'll be completely honest, but people wanted to get that W in Delta. So let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about. Let's not even worry about the top 16 first. Let's just talk about the distribution of factions just going into it. I was really surprised at how many Republic players we had, okay? In comparison to when we look at, if we go down here and look at the Republic queue, you know, in the Alpha qualifier, okay? We had the 24. Most of the Republic did not do well, and we kept that consistent number at 22. And as you can see, when we got to the cut, and I will tell you, the person who dropped out of the cut wasn't playing Republic. We went down to 0. Now, if the cut would have been 32, there would have been a lot in there. But I was just really surprised. Really surprised. So just something just kind of interesting there in the factions. And anything else you guys parse just looking at that faction breakdown that you find interesting?
I think the choices players are not necessarily looking to win the tournament, looking to win the 5 games. And definitely 2 factions people have gravitated towards in Extended to get those wins, and it's Scum and Empire.
Yep. And one of the things we have to also admit is with the faction prizes being a thing, that probably has affected some of the faction representation as well. Like Marcel, you brought purposely normally you are a Republic player, right? That's usually the sauce you like. And you said, yeah, you know what? Let's go and try to get a different faction pin. And you were able to not only get top Empire, but top seed in the tournament.
Yeah. So I was bouncing around. So this is what I was thinking, because I do. I'm going to try to do all 4, and I want the pins. And I was thinking, what do I want to save for hyperspace? That I think I can probably get. I was like Republic for sure, and then I didn't have another one. And then I flew Empire, and now in retrospect, I'm thinking, man, I should have saved Empire for hyperspace. But anyway.
Cool. Now, Ryan, I know that normally, you are safe inside your fort hyperspace, right? You're like, I'm not leaving my fort. Okay. But if I was able to get you out the fort, what would you have played?
The likelihood of me playing a Separatist in hyperspace is pretty high. So if I was going for different pins, I probably would have done something in Rebels, and I probably would have done something in Republic or Resistance, I think.
Cool.
Apparently, though, I would have picked Rebels in this event, not the last one, because the last one had almost twice as many more players. Wait, yeah, a little more than twice as many players. There was a massive Rebel drop-off, by the way.
Yeah.
Weird.
There was.
Don't think it's necessary.
Little overreaction, maybe. It's always, we never, mind you, there was a higher percentage of European players at Delta than there was in Alpha, but, just maybe a little bit of shift, and there is that, that increase when we look at Empire, just look at that. We go from, there was 170 players at Alpha. There was only 22 Imperial lists. We got to 140, I think it was, 140-ish for Delta, and there were 34. So it goes up. Attendance down. Empire going up, up, up. We'll go ahead and take a look at those top 16 lists starting now, but I found that super interesting. Will, any thoughts on factions before we jump into the lists?
Actually, you made an interesting point about how that there was a lot of Republic players, but they just weren't in the highest category there. They weren't able to get the 5 wins. I find it interesting that that's the case because I felt like they were doing really well in the tournament, but then kind of just dropped off in the last couple rounds. So that's interesting to me that not a single one. Though I do like everything else is not surprising, right? Like everything else is pretty much on par. Like the 2 factions, Scum and Empire, had more in the cut, which just makes sense because they're more being played there.
Yeah. Like it's relative to what came to the tournament.
Right. We actually was both of the. Oh, well, we're gonna get to it, but I was excited to see the Resistance make it into the cut as well without spam. We'll talk about more about that later, but that's also interesting to me. That there was a lot of people taking advantage of those extended ships. I think Ryan, I'm sure we'll have more on that, but that's people busting them out, getting ready for the hyperspace season, last chance to fly them. So
That's
makes
right.
sense to me.
Flex it. You know what they're doing? They're getting ready for Galaxies 2021. That's what they're. So they're flexing. Now I will tell you, Galaxies 2021 little drops here. Okay, so there will be paths that are both extended and hyperspace. Okay, to get to that culmination. Now, Galaxies the very end point. I have an idea, but it's a little crazy, and I got to talk to people about it first. But we know the qualifiers will they'll be split between the two. All right? So, I got you, fam. Also, we're doing I'm dubbing different cities, new planets and stuff. It's going to be fun. It's going to be honorary planet for cities. I've actually literally have people like reach out to me, be like, Dion, could you name our city a planet? I'm like, I got you. I'm not telling you to message me, okay? I'm saying that people have, and we're going to be spreading out some of the love. Even if we use, it's the same time zone, we might call it a different city just to give your city some love. All right, we're going to do some South American cities. We're going to do even a city in Canada because Canada felt sad. I got a lot of Canadian sadness. Go get some syrup, guys. You need to be happy, okay? We got you. Okay, here we go. I want to start with the person who is technically in the 17th seed, but that's only because they were unable to make the cut. So Andrea Zafalon had to step out of the cut, our only person to step out, and this is going to be a reoccurring pattern. It's a fantastic combination. Zam and Jango Fett. You got Jango with auto blasters, Count Dooku, thermal detonators, false transponder codes, Slave 1 as well, and that is of course the Separatist Slave 1. And then Lone Wolf, Jamming Beam, Perceptive, more thermal detonators and false transponder codes on Zam Wessel. A total of 194 points. Okay. I got to get this off my chest, guys. I got to get this off my chest. I like the Separatist fire sprays. I like the theme. But man, I kind of wish they would have put them in Scum. Like, I get it timeline-wise. Jango works for the Separatists. Kind of, sort of, yes. But like, man, I'm worried about the Separatists losing their identity. Is what I'm worried about, just a little bit. If these fire sprays stay too good. You guys have any comment on that?
I mean, I think it's nice, I guess, for the Separatists to have some variation a little bit. A lot of people felt like they were shoehorned into Swarm play, unless you were still playing Ensnare Nantex, which, what is it? Sunfok, Chairtick, Grievous is still a list and has a bid right now, but it can't really compete as well with big swarms out there that are a little more prevalent. But I mean, they're a separatist list. The face of it says separatist. The heart of it is a scum list. Realistically, right? Like, that is a scum list. It's dual fire sprays. That's what people love. A lot of people like fire sprays, and good on them. I'm just still throwing it out there. I don't think the dual fire spray is the best version. No. I think Zam is much better than Django, and Zam could have much better wingmates multiple than just Django.
Watch out. Ryan, the mad scientist over there. He's got something in the box. Watch out. All right, let's keep it going here. Marcel, let's hit up Michael Petrella.
Okay, Michael Petrella is flying 199-point scum list with Guri, outmaneuver advanced sensors, Captain Nim, dorsal turret IG-88D, thermal detonators, and then Soul 6 with dorsal turrets, skilled bombardier, thermal detonators, ion bombs, the Havoc title, and trajectory simulator. Excuse me. I'm surprised about that IG-88D. Is it just for double mods, having a mod on offense and defense?
To double calculate?
Mods in two different turns. Is that really, or is there an additional benefit that I'm missing?
Nope, that's it. Paylop can't steal your calculates.
The anti-Paylop tech? Yeah, I mean, if Paylop, we haven't really, it's more been Torkoal Mux out there, but yeah. I think it's probably, especially with having the single agility die, if you're saving one of those calculates defensively, it doesn't, because it can only modify a single die, maybe it doesn't feel like it gets wasted.
No, I get it. It's just an interesting choice with an outmaneuver Guri. Giving up even a point of potential initiative for an outmaneuver advanced sensor Guri, but obviously it worked. So,
and really paying a lot of points for bombs. We said all this trajectory simulator. Nim obviously is great at enabling some of that cheeky bomb play. And I'm curious how they used it with Guri together. Because if you can kind of have Guri dance around the bombs and say, "Hey, come over here. It's perfectly safe," until it's not. All right, keep it going here. We got Octacon. Take it, Will.
All right, Octacon flying his Bosk and Fangs. A similar Bosk he was flying mixed with a loaded out Boba. It's got Crack Shot, Jamming Beam, Zuckus, Forlom, Bruto, Dead Switch, and Electronic Batfall. He's flying that with 3 Zealous Recruit Fang Fighters. So the Fang Fighters we know are good. They're cheap. I1, they're good blockers. They have that Concordia down to get the free evade when they're looking at each other at range 1. And this party bus Bosk hits so hard between the different crew members, his splitting into 2 things. If your swarm comes on in with that dead man switch, it's open in front of you. And hopefully he's done enough damage for these Fang Fighters to clean up. I think it's interesting. There's, like I said, are good. You got to be kind of a crazy to fly the dead man electronic.
You're cutting out a lot. You're going full droid mode. Full droid.
Oh.
Full droid. Here, we'll come back to you. We'll come back,
Come back
to you.
me. Just give me for now.
All right. We're gonna save that one for you because I heard about half of what you said, and I want to hear about it. Oh, look, we got two wheels. Okay.
Test. Is it any better?
It's better right now.
Okay. Well, let me just say about Octocons, Bosk and the Fang Fighters. Was the one I was talking about. Fang Fighters hard to kill. Bosk puts out a lot of damage. Seems very hard to deal with.
There you go. Punchy, big bite. Yeah. All right, Ryan. What about Sammy?
Sammy here running 5 TIE Advanced V1 Inquisitors, all with Foresight. I believe we've seen this in this straight variation in the past. Since the Inquisitors cost went up a little bit, I think that was not the last one, but the one before points update back in the summer. We had seen 5 Inquisitors with Foresight do all right. Nothing, if I recall correctly, nothing too deep in cut, but has made cut and has won a game or two in the elims. It's just Inquisitors are so ridiculously hard to kill when they want to be defensive because it's just take an evade and they have force evade. So with 3 agility. So unless you have probably 3 guns or 2 really strong guns on it, is when you're going to actually potentially do real damage to it. And then there's 5 of them. And they're really squirrely and they knife fight really well. So if they I'm assuming in most cases people take gas clouds to be defensive, but I could see a reason to take stuff like bigger rocks because they're so maneuverable around them and they can make leverage of that foresight. I'd be curious to see what obstacles Sammy took or what obstacles people that have played this list a lot do take, because I could see them taking advantage of, because if you only have 2 attack dice, when you're going up against other aces that are better at maneuvering and getting around those and taking advantage of those gas clouds at a higher initiative, these guys could have a tough time with that. But if you clog up the area with bigger obstacles, that foresight becomes a deadlier weapon, and these ships are really good at tight maneuvers.
Yep. Now, really quickly here, I want to actually roll back to Octa's list because Marcel, you had a good point in the chat. Bring that up, man. You don't just leave that in the chat. That's too good for our audio listeners not to see what you just said.
I'm just giving extra value to your Twitch subscribers. So I was talking about Octa's list. He's got 5 points that, with initiative once you really don't need, and then he's got crack shot, which on a 180 gun ship that doesn't reposition, is kind of maybe, but you're really not planning on that being anywhere. That's 8 points. So I just think that if you take one of the zealots out and then you throw in 2 Z95s with false transponder codes and tracers, now you got basically the same Bosk. You got 2 Fang Fighters that are basically coming in range 1 and trying to get the blocks and do everything they need to do, and then you got 2 3 attack dice tracers from the Z95s, either jamming or getting target locks to those Fang Fighters early for that first round of fire, and just again one. I think just everybody knows. I think we should do a like an over under on how much they're going to go up in points by the next
thread tracers.
Update. But yeah, those thread tracers are brutal.
Value.
But anyway, that's what I would do. Cool. Bosk, 2 Fang Fighters, and then 2 Z95s with false transponder codes and tracers.
Yeah, I'd agree with Marcel. That'd be a good variation of that list to test out. And I think Octo would even be someone, because he's played a lot of ships before. Mm-hmm. He does like his fangs, but he also likes to team them up with stuff. So if you have a Z95 hanging around one fang or hanging around other, depending on how close he flies them together, you can definitely take advantage of, taking that tracer lock, jamming someone makes those shots hurt a lot more. And even though Bosk is already shot, it sets up Bosk for the next turn already having a lock, which I think people again underestimate how good tracers still are even when your ships have already shot, it sets them up well for the next turn.
Agreed. All right, and I want to roll back also to the you were talking last, Ryan, about this 5 Inquisitors with Foresight. We did get a game of, it wasn't Sammy playing it, it was another player, I believe, if I'm remembering it correctly. We did see somebody playing 5 Inquisitors with Foresight. One of the other things that it does to the opponent is that it forces you to fly differently, right? Because if you... And that can do two things, right? You might want to fly differently because you don't want to take these shots that you normally wouldn't have, especially if you're flying a large or medium-based ship and it becomes easier for these Inquisitors to get you in that bullseye. But at the same time, if they're diverting your normal flight plan or forcing you to fly in a strange way, you can end up playing yourself a little bit when by getting yourself out of position. So that is that additional layer of tech built into these type of cards. When they're costed right, they really can affect your enemy quite a bit. So watch out for that Foresight. Watch out for that Foresight. Next one here, we have a Amalra Swarm. This is pretty standard stuff. Andrew Ciarlo bringing Malorus with Fanatical and Targeting Computer, so hooking up that target lock action onto Commander Malorus, and then we have a total, what is that, 6 TIE-FOs, and of course Commander Malorus is that the Psi Shuttle that allows you to re-roll one of your, is it blank results, guys? Or anything that's not a hit?
It's any result.
Right, re-roll. And you must, isn't it? So it's a must. So yeah, for taking a strain. So it is, it's one of those, just not spam, but it's your first order swarm of choice. A lot of different variations sometimes on the co-pilots. But there you go. Andrew showing that it is good enough to make the cut.
I'll clarify. It does say if, for Malorus, it's when performs primary attack if it has 1 or more blank results. So it has to be blank.
Okay.
It has to be blank.
Malorus to trigger, but it is a must beyond that point. I will say I was surprised I didn't see malware in the last event, and I'm not surprised that I at least made cut in this event.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it's a good list.
Somebody's asking in the chat, why would they take Targeting Computer?
Oh,
So
it's easy. So you, go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so they can target lock and they don't have to strain themselves to shoot.
There you go. Because it is a mod, right? So you can choose your order of your mods.
Well, that, and I think on the Xi class shuttle, they have a red lock. So instead of stressing Malorus, you don't stress Malorus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you now have a white lock, and then combine that with Fanatical. It allows for a solid shot still. If once you're not, I assume he's focusing on the way in. Once shields are down, that's where you start locking, becoming even more aggressive, and not having to take Malorus's ability on herself.
Absolutely. And then also, this list doesn't need a bid, right? Most of the time, you don't need a bid. So if you have the points for it and you can make that target lock when those opportunities come up better, that's great. And because you do have those moments, right, where the Psi Shuttle is coming back around, and that's your chance. Pick up a target lock and be ready to come back around. What were you going to say, Ryan?
I said I will say, so it is interesting on the bid in this one aspect, is that when you're facing other I-1s, because you have the dilemma. I mean, for one, it's good to block other I-1s so they don't get actions. But with Malorus and how it works with this swarm, the idea is your ships shoot and then just do blue maneuvers the next turn, and they never get the negative for the strain. So as a malware swarm player, you have to make the decision what's more important against other opposing I-1s. Do you want to block them and get all your actions, but end up having to shoot first, then they can shoot back at you when you're strained? Or do you want to go second, risking the blocks on you, but you don't have to take the negative effect from Malorus' strain on yourself because you'll be shooting last?
Yeah. I think it's a wash. I agree with 200 points. The reason it's a wash is if you look at the less agility from a strain as as a mod, because you're missing one die. You're changing the amount of dice or the way to modify them. If you move first, you're guaranteeing your mod, your focus token. If you're moving second, you may be losing your offensive mod, but you're gaining a. Well, actually, you're not really losing your offensive mod because you still get a reroll, but you're losing a token, but you gain the ability to not take consequences from. So it's kind of a wash.
It's close because Malrus won't always trigger, right? So you don't always have to take that strain, and the strain is only on one attack, so it's not the entire time. So I think
You want to move first?
Move first because it's like, as a Droid Swarm player, I don't want to see a malware swarm because I think there's too many bodies. They have their agility. They have a Howl Runner type effect. If they shoot first and move first, they can strip calculates that I've had and need to shoot back at to do real damage, or they block me and I don't get them anyway. So I think moving first at the malware swarm is generally probably the right call in most situations against other I-1s because, like you said, it can feel like a wash, but I always feel like getting ways to modify your dice is better than stuff negatively affecting your own. And we know wedge statistically isn't as much of a bonus as full like focus or target lock, like actual mods.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that being first player is probably the right call as a malware player. And it just depends on the meta if you feel like you want to take a 1 point bid, because that's usually enough, 1 or 2 point bid, and you'll have the bid on other I-1 swarms.
Yeah, I would say Andrew probably just went for it here because there has been low prevalence of Initiative 1 swarm play, specifically, right, the mirror match. I doubt he was going into here saying, hey, just in case I get a mirror match. He didn't care. He went the full 200, where everything's fine here. All right, Will, let's take a look at this double I6 list.
All right, am I giving the beep boops still?
You're good, Roger.
Okay. All right, pronounce this person's name.
Let's just call him Kuna.
Kuna. All right. This is the Double Separatist 6 is a weird list. I'm fascinated by it as well. It includes Sunfac in the Nantex Starfighter with Ensnare and Predator. And then Jango Fett with Lone Wolf, Jamming Beam, Count Dooku, Proxy Mines, False Transponder Codes, Shield Upgrade, the Separatist Slave 1 title, and Boba Fett Gunner. So super loaded out Jango there, the 117 points.
That's so thick, Will. 117.
I've seen bigger Bobas, but back in the day, back in the day, used to. Anyways, no, it is like that's a serious ship out there. Lots of health, a lot of defensive mods. The Dooku proxy mine is just a dirty trick. You can call out a crit on their proxy mine. That's mean. And then also the combination of Ensnare and Proxy Mines. Ensnare, you can give your tractor token, which you probably took if you're an Nantex, to another ship at range 1 in your arc. I had to explain this card because we haven't seen it in 5 out of a year or so, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's oddly priced, but somehow with a 12-point bid, these double sixes are doing work. It's baffling to me, to be honest with you, because like, how does this fight a malware? I don't understand.
This out of all the lists in the cut is the strangest to me. Like I know that Jango does the work, but man, you gotta be so careful with Sunfac. Marcel, I see you're licking your lips over there. What you got?
No, I'm just thinking like, I actually hate this list, and I hate playing against it. I played against it with the 4 A-Wings, and I got the win, but it was, I mean, just the they didn't have proxy mines. It had like a different loadout, but it was like the Django Sunfac.
Mm-hmm.
He had, I think, the Snare, Predator, and Crack Shot, and then he had thermals on Count Dooku instead to basically keep it the same points. But anyway, just the how easy they delete a ship, and then going back to basically the Sunfac is unblockable. I mean, he can BM do anything he wants. Just the whole thing, it's really bad. And yeah, you're gonna run into some matchups like I think what this list hates more than anything else is what's prevalent everywhere in the game right now, which is something like threat tracers, where you take 2 dice guns and then you make those 2 dice guns really more worse. But either way, like it's really bad. Like, you would hate to be one of those people bringing Soontir Vader or Vader Whisper and just anything. Like, give Vader this, and Vader is gonna be crying.
So it feasts on like 2 to 4 ship lists. That's it.
Yeah,
It's
I would say
bacon.
anything 4 lists or four ships or under. It's gonna eat. Well, to 4 ships or under, or a list that needs to be in a tight formation, because it can also outmaneuver a tight formation. But lists like Octacon's, not Octacon's, like Octacon's old list, lists like a bunch of Seek fighters or malware or anything like that. Yeah, it's gonna. I mean, you kill one ship and they're like, so.
Yeah. Ryan, you had a thought on that one?
I was going to say that early numbers that I kind of put together, but I'm looking at the pink brain matter. So I was just looking at the top cut numbers, and actually just top 32, which I know you guys did 16, but I just went down to top 32. So we saw that there was a lot of higher ship counts in the previous event. This event went back down a bit. We got a stock market going here, up down here, because I would say the it
looking
was
like
only
GameStop over here.
27. Yeah, only 27%. 9 out of the 32 were 5 or higher ship count lists at all. So that means math. 20. So 32. 23 lists were 4 less. So this type of list, or playing, I'll still say on average, most players play 3 to 4. And this list can definitely feast on that for sure, like Marcel said. Even like you talked about throwing something on the Proxmine and doing Dooku, just throw them on a rock and still they get Dooku for the rock damage, right? Like it doesn't matter. Like even if it's a debris, oh, take a crit.
How do you turn a rock into a proton bomb?
Yeah, exactly, Dooku. So I would be curious to see Zam instead of Django, though, because I feel like Sunfok can set up Zam for those double shots better and be a better hammer than Django. Granted, I see the double I6 for 2 ships being the last to move for both is powerful, especially with false transponder codes. And you're investing a lot in that ship, so moving last is important. I'd just be curious to see how well you could set up Zam's shots with Sunfok anyway with that bit.
All right, so Ryan's going to play Zam Sunfok on Wednesday. I think that's what we're here. Show us.
It's like not even half the amount of ships I would put in a list.
All right, we keep going here. We got Kavan here bringing another scum list, another variation of something we saw. Go ahead, take it, Marcel.
Okay, we're with Lucas.
Yeah, Lukash. Look at all these bombs. Look at all these bombs.
I
man.
know. He shared this with me right before the tournament. He was calling this his meme list, and he's just having jank, and he's just having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it's just fun to crush your face.
He knew what he was doing. So we've got Emin as a meme with proton bombs, counter nets, and Andraste, which gives them the ability to do both bombs and reload them, and M being the one that shoots them out of the back with speed 3 or speed 3 turns. Captain Nim with dorsal turret, proton bomb, seismic charges, havoc, and title and trajectory simulator. And then Sol Sixa with dorsal turret, skilled bombardier, thermal detonators, and counter nets. I'm a huge fan of those counter nets. I'm surprised we're at 3 points. We're not seeing more of them.
I think
because
it's
now they're actually
psychological.
comparable to the proxy mines. Because with the proxy mines, you're like, oh, I get 2. Yeah, but you pay the double. You're
Right.
paying 6 for 2 counter nets. You get more range. I think they have a guaranteed result, not a potential result. And I'm getting thumbs up from Ryan. Like, that hits me in my heart.
I think
Ryan.
I think it's all psychological. Is what it is, Marcel. Is people
Because they used to be not that good, and
Right.
people are still stuck on they were not that good. But at 3 points, they're costed at where they should be back on the table.
Well, I'm just saying, not even good or bad. It's looking at the card. Somebody puts it next to proxy mines. Disregard the math that you just did. Just say, wait, but this one has 1 charge. I don't like it, and puts it down, right? But I mean, Lucas showed there's some value there.
Especially if you can reload, and once a lot of times you just need with proxy, even with proxy, you just need it to hit 1 time.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need. Like when you hit 1 time, you know where that ship's going to be. You're giving that ship damage. You know what action that ship's going to do. I mean, and then you got to weigh with all those other ships to put bombs anywhere else you want anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to clarify, this particular bomb cannot get recovered, so you can't reload it. But you're right. If the problem is if they did allow this to have 2 charges, it would be everywhere and probably like 7 or 8 points. To be completely honest, because the game effect it has once it hits is devastating. Just because it doesn't do as much damage, the game effect on it is staggering because you're ioning something, which means whatever action it does is just focus. That's all it gets to do. It only gets to do a 1 straight. And if you hit that counter on a turn where they haven't revealed their dial yet, they'll be able to do their normal maneuver. They're only going to be able to focus. So if they plan a repositioning, they're stuck. They just only focus. And they also have to deal with that the next turn, where they're going to do a 1 straight now from wherever their maneuver ended up and still only be able to focus.
There you go.
I dropped it on a Sun Fact with Ensnare once. Actually, that was against Nick Tobin during system phase. And you want to take 70 points off the map. You let them move. They're not ionized that turn. They're going to be ionized that next turn. But now they have an ion token on them, which means they can't track their beam and reposition. They're only going to focus. And then next turn, they're only going to focus. So yeah, I mean,
Really sad
like Ryan was saying, it is really, really debilitating if you land it at the right, if you land it like right on top of them that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Or not even just on top. If they move through it with their template, same thing.
Yeah, and just looking at the potential of what can happen here, if you kind of look at the combo, right? If you're able to counter net somebody, now you know where they're going, and then you can use your other bombs there, and you start stacking up the damage. Once you can get 1 counter net off, Iman's like, here's another one for the next turn. By the way, Nim gave you. I mean, like there's so many. You can get a cycle of bombs if you're able to position in the right spot. This is probably one of the cooler like bomb lists that I've seen out there, especially because there's 3 ships. You got a little bit more play in there. I like this. I like this. I'm too bad we didn't get an opportunity to get a recording of it. Maybe we'll be able to get it in the future. But super cool list. And
as Nabi said in chat, eye on a ship at the right time in the game can just outright win you the game.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're comparing the points, thermal detonators is a common one taken at 3 right now versus counter nets. They're both 3. Thermal has a longer term effect on a game just because you have more charges. There's a longer amount of threat time. But if you can land that counter net right, it is many more times more drastically effective than a single thermal detonator on average.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's keep it rolling here. I forgot who we're on, but whoever it is, we're taking a look at Dan Sirub's list. Separatist at 200 points. I think it's Ryan.
All right, Dan running the 4 HMPs, just become kind of synonymous with HMP styled list in extended. All of them have cluster missiles. All of them have the repulsor lift stabilizers, of course. We have one of them being DGS 047, which is great for multi-use or multi-HMP lists because he can help set up the lock for with his ability after shooting to move it around and help his other friends give more rerolls. The DGS 047 also has ion missiles and carry Kraken with Grievous Crew, so being the more defensive, and then they're all, at least 3 of them, are stacking an extra calculate on the way in, which is good. One of the Bactoids has Dark One probe droids and ion missiles, and the other 2 have concussion missiles. So loaded for plenty of good attacks within the front arc, and they still have that wide 180 with that side slip to be threatening in weird angles and maneuvers. In the early game of having the combination of the probe droids and Kraken makes the first engagement really deadly.
Yeah, we got to see Dan play on stream. He did lose that game. Spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. But you could see the potential there. He got caught a little bit off guard, but there is a lot of tools there, especially with those ion missiles. If you can ion somebody, especially because of that side slip, right? You ion somebody coming towards you, and then you can move along the side, and they ionize and are no longer pointing at you. That's massive. Absolutely massive. And if you get them ionized again, you can then just keep it classy. Just go like 1 forward or something, because you're not going to be able to side slip 2 times in a row. But you can really get pursuit on a ship that you've ionized. It is the potential there. Dirty. Just saying. Absolutely gross. All right, now we got Marcel Manzano. Talk a little bit about what you brought, Marcel.
It's garbage. Don't bother flying it. Not very good. I lost. So next.
So we've got 2 thread tracers, 2 thread tracer Baron of the Empires, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 Baron of the Empires as well. But these got marksmanship and proton rockets. How'd the marksmanship work out for you? Did it?
Yeah, I think it's really. I started playing them with the 4A wings, and those. I mean, it's just like I would say it's just like counter nets in the regard of like 1 point for them, that the right critical at the right time can make or break a game. So I'm a huge fan of anything that gets criticals in, and with prockets you get with 5 dice on a procket, and especially if you got a double modded one with the thread tracers coming in right before your procket does, it's just brutal. And I don't know, again, when you're rolling 5 dice and with a target lock and a focus, the probability of hitting hard is already there. And during those first 6 games, I think there must have been at least 5 occasions where I rolled 3 or more crits. I mean, with one of them being, marksman up to a crit, like where you land 3 crits, a combination of bunch of stuff, 2 crits, and then turn the third one into a crit, and you just completely, even if you don't kill the ship, you just disable it so much that I like marksman. Let's just say that one. I like marksman. I like anything that gets crits in is good. And and then this is a list, actually. The reason I flew this list was 2 reasons. One of them was I saw Will. I commented with you, Dion, on Wednesday when Will was flying his version for the Kyber Cup, and I saw Will fly it. I'm like it's not a bad list. It's, Will flies it without the Prockets. He's got Wampa in there instead. He gets a 7th ship. And then also because Fast Walker had been saying like Procket, and then he was talking about like throwing Prockets on First Order. I'm like, no, like, no, they don't belong there. And you talk the talk, you got to be able to walk the walk. So I'm like, well, if I'm telling people that this is good, let me go see if it's good.
All right, so here's my question. Now we're going to flip it here. Will, so seeing what Marcel did, bringing these Prockets, like what is the difference maybe tactically between what he brought and what you normally bring, which is getting that additional Wampa in there instead of having those proton rockets and marksmanship?
I mean, it's the burst damage. I lose out. I get, I wouldn't say more quality shots, but I have that extra shot versus the proton rockets. And how I fly them, I'm just instinctively not looking for the bullseye, right? I'm just doing my little thing or whatever. Marcel's been flying Prockets for what, like the last couple tournaments now, since the Galaxy's culmination. I can't even think about it right now. Coruscant? Yeah, duh. Coruscant. Been flying Prockets since Coruscant, so it has an eye for him. I just don't think that I have the eye for it. My skills are more to the multi and like being able to up and pair them out and stuff like that. Cool. So I just wouldn't be looking for the proton rockets, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, let's keep it going. We got a good friend of the show, Tommy Adams, rocking a Rebel list. We got Wedge with S-foils, a Rogue Squadron Escort. That's an E-Wing with fire control, proton torpedoes, and R3 astromech setting up multiple target locks. Jake Farrell with proton rockets. That's Jake slinging out some focus actions. And AP5 with Leia Organa. So, really, really interesting idea here. We got to see Tommy play versus those HMPs, and he was able to win. His list has got a lot of firepower, a lot of tech in there. One of the interesting things, kind of looking at his approach, not sure if, and Tommy, you're in the chat, you can tell us. He basically has he's got the E-Wing and Wedge are your big hammers, and you got Jake and AP5 able to come along on the side and be the enablers, right? They're able to provide the double modified shot, but then you got to watch out though, because Jake on his own, he can be his threat because he's got a proton rocket too. You end up giving maybe Wedge a focus, so he's got a double modified shot, and then you boost as well, give Jake a focus, and then you can have your own proton rocket party there too. So I really, really like Tommy's list. I'm sure most people went for Wedge first because they probably want to burn them down. But I think in this list, Wedge does make pretty good bait. Okay, make pretty good bait. So I like this. You guys have any thoughts on Tommy's list?
No, we caught it on stream one time.
We did,
and I thought he was flying it great.
Agreed. Yeah.
He did talk to me a little bit after the event, and he did mention a lot of people would focus on Wedge, but he knew himself flying it. He felt that his E-Wing was more key to winning games than Wedge. So Wedge, to him, as good of a hammer as he can be, if AP5 gives him a coordinator, Jake gives him a focus, that the E-Wing was actually more the key to make sure that did the damage it needed to do and make its points back than Wedge.
We got, I think it's Nick from Firecast says the fact that all that fits is a bit scary. There's a lot of punch there. There's a huge amount of punch.
Yeah, and I even think of the combinations of, what if you're worried Jake might get blocked, you won't be able to set up Jake's thing, or AP5 won't be able to coordinate out to Wedge or the E-Wing. Well, AP5 could coordinate focus or an action to Jake, and then Jake could chain it to somebody else. There's also a little bit of chaining for some kind of like hop, skip, and longer range coordinate action going too.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. Next, we move on to the Resistance. Pretty vanilla list here, but we know that it's effective. Go ahead, Ryan.
All right, we have Bjorn running 4 Blue Squadron rookie T-70s, all with BB Astromech, and then Rose with C-3PO. Probably the most common Rose you'll see. Very effective. Gets a coordinate out, even though it's a stressful one. She gets her rerolls from all those friendly ships as long as they are in the attack arc, whether it's her attack arc or the enemy. And then obviously C-3PO still giving her a calculate. If no one needs an extra action, she just gets 2 calculates, even better. And those rookies, there's just 5 good ships on the board, and Rose is very consistent. And those X-Wings, when combined together, doing sometimes some shenanigans with those BB Astromechs for 1 point. I think that's all they are, right? Is it 2?
Mm-hmm. They're 1.
Point. Yeah. So good value. Some slight weird maneuvering. So these, I talked about malware earlier. I don't know if I give these guys the ability to move second because they got BB Astromechs.
Mm-hmm.
They can do a little bit of the supernatural barrel roll there.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that one for sure. Now, going back really quickly to Tommy's list, Candid Clarinetist out of Indiana, mentioning that he just realized that Wedge went down in points in the last point update. It's true. Went down 1 point from 55 to 54. Was released at 52, by the way. 52, then stayed at 55 for a while. And recently, just that small tick down. Maybe that's a sweet spot. We don't know. All right, Marcel, I saved this one for you. Look, we got some resistance here from Nobby. We got Nobby in the chat.
Oh, I like it. Near and dear to my heart. So we've got Poe Dameron with R4 Astromech jamming being integrated as well as an auto thruster plus heroic. No, it's not auto thrusters. It's overdrive thrusters. Basically stressed. Boost or barrel roll is a 2-speed. ZZ with a very interesting cluster missile advanced optics. Correct me if I'm wrong. Cluster is
1 to 2.
4 points. No, 4 points.
Cost? Yeah.
Okay, 4 points. Tally with threat tracers. That's probably how he's getting those cluster missiles off. Double modded. And actually double modding one of them and being able to single mod the second shot because of ZZ's ability, I believe, right? With cluster missiles, do you get the token after the first shot, or you have to go through both shots in order to get the token?
First shot. You do
Okay.
all the after shots before the bonus attack.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense there. And then you get Merle Coben with Intimidation, which why not? It's 35 points for basically getting rid of potentially getting rid of 2 agility, and on top of that, you're getting rid of their token. So you have a no token ship with a -2 agility on it, on a ship that's really tough to kill. And if you end up going for it because it's so annoying, then you have 2 initiative 5s and an initiative 6 that you ignored because you're trying to kill that little weasel. I love that little weasel.
Yeah,
but anyway.
I would 100% suggest people watch Nobby's video when it comes out. It was an absolutely fantastic game, nail biter, lots of back and forth. No spoilers for me. I really enjoyed it. Good play by Nobby and his opponent Nick Burke in that game. Next,
and it's worth to note too that Tally doesn't have to get the threat tracers off for ZZ to get at least, like, you lock something, you shoot with the lock, you're single modded. And then your second shot, because ZZ's ability will single mod via the focus, that is also backed up by advanced optics. So you can single mod both, or you can double mod one and single mod the other one.
Now, somebody in the chat, Fast Walk, is asking, is this the ultimate build for Poe? Is this the best Poe build that exists? I mean,
I think you can get away without the overdrive. The overdrive adds a little bit, but at 8 points, it's
I don't believe you, Marcel, man. I don't believe you.
No,
8 points.
It's what elevates Poe to a new level of ship. Otherwise, he's just an X-wing who stresses himself. Like it's those extra repositionings is what makes him be able to actually arc dodge and actually move around the board without being caught.
Yeah, Poe needs to be able to get in places where he can't get shot. And with Black 1, that went up in points a little bit. It can only be done once in the game, and there's a drawback to once you do it, unless you put yourself in a good position where the drawback is negated the next turn by just being behind everybody. Mm-hmm. But overdrive works the entire game, and just as long as that's on your stressed reposition. So it's another option to look at Poe. There's only a few people I trust kind of that have played Poe long enough to trust that their ability to play. Navi's one of them. I give him a ton of credit. He's stuck with Poe in 3As for a very long time, and he's really good at it. Mm-hmm. But Poe is not something you can easily just put on the board and say, this is an I6 ace, and I'm going to like fly crazy all around you. Like, you have to plan correctly, put him in the right spot, know when to leave, and know when to disengage, and know when to not take an engagement.
And when to not get blocked. That's when Poe... That's when you lose games, because you're paying those extra points for Poe to be able to do the shenanigans. And this might be a little foreshadowing. That is Poe's biggest weakness. If Poe is not blocked, those maneuvers land, you got a lot of options there. Watch out. Watch out for that Poe. But here's the problem. If you miss the block, you're going to get smacked around. So if you're going to block them, make sure you don't miss.
I'll say that, or have Initiative 6 is moving after you, obviously, because all your repositioning means nothing. Django Sunfac see this Poe and be like, lunch.
Now, to clarify this, we're talking about Trigger Happy Flyboy Poe, not the Heralds of Hope Commander Poe. That we're talking about the good Poe. Sorry, Heralds of Hope. Those points got to go way down for there to have any value there. So the ability is just not as good. Just not as good. Next, we have Andy Cameron. Andy Cameron bringing a list that we're going to end up reading one more time. We got Ved Foslo with passive sensors, Fifth Brother, passive sensors, homing missile, Seventh Sister with passive and mag pulse warheads, and then Death Rain with passive sensors, diamond boron missiles, thermal detonators, and delayed fuses. These are all, the synergy here is that they're all Initiative 4, and they can all hit really hard. There's a lot of flexibility. Those TIE V1s have a lot of defensive tech. Ved Foslo is a TIE X1, it's a TIE Advance that we don't see on the table very much, but in this squad, it works so well because of how you're able to adjust your dial up or down and be able to just have a lot of flexibility there at Initiative 4. We talk about very often, Marcel, in your list building, you really like to match initiatives so that you have a lot of flexibility. The Ved Foslo in this list just continues to double down on having that flexibility. And if you need a little bit extra when you notice everything's moved, you got it. Or you need a little bit less, you can do that too. Death Rain with thermal detonators is a fantastic, by the way. Being able to do, right, so Death Rain's ability says after you drop or launch a bomb, you can perform an action. That means that with thermal detonators, Death Rain can get up to 2 actions after dropping them, including reloading those thermal detonators that you just dropped. So it is very cheeky. Watch out for that Death Rain, because I'm expecting some people to try it in some other combinations. Go ahead, Marcel.
Yeah, I was gonna say I ended up for starters, Andy was the other 6-0, so this was a 6-0 list. coming into it. And then the other list that is made the final, which I don't think we're going to go into like as much detail because you just talked about it here, Julian Hood, is who I played in the top 16 match, and he's the one that knocked me out.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good match, and I trapped his Death Rain in a really good kill box.
Okay.
And I got him blocked by one, and then I had a Threat Tracer and 2 Proton Rockets going at him, and then another like ship shooting at him. So I'm like, this ship should be dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't die. It lived on 2 health. But I'm like, okay, I got 5 ships surrounding this thing, and then there was a asteroid maybe around just outside of range 1 in front of him. So I have 5 ships in front of him. He's at 2 hull. So he ends up dropping a bomb, boosting in front, just like threading both two of my inner what are they? TIE Advanced. And then he drops a second bomb with a range 2 to get it closer to where he was before. Barrel rolling away from the rock that he was going to hit, stress, and then moving, clearing his stress, and reloading to get both of those back because he was going to be out of the fight. And then it took me like another 2 or 3 turns to kill it. And then he also ended up clearing. I thought I had him because I ended up landing another crit on him that says like if you don't move straight, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, he's not gonna commit suicide. So he ends up dropping something, and then he does like a boost to change his trajectory. I'm like, okay, and then he ends up dropping another one, and then clears. I forgot that he can clear it, and clears his thing, and then turns. So yeah, he flew it masterfully. I'm not surprised he made the final, but yeah, that Death Rain is so tricky with those thermals. It's just insane. And by the way, the rest of the list, the way that you can just focus in on something and just completely delete it, it hits as hard as like anything else out there. It hits as hard as like a Bosk with like Octacon's old Bosk delete everything in turn thing. It's a pretty mean list.
Yep, and it's got options against high initiative ships. It's got options against swarms. Watch out. This is something, again, Julian Hood is the name that we're going to end up getting back to, but he's been flying a version of this, or possibly exactly this, for quite a while now, and he's starting to popularize it. This is the second appearance of it here in the cut. Next, we got Chris I said this wrong all weekend. Fraser, not Fraser.
Fraser.
Yeah, that one. Take it, Will.
All right, he was flying.
Fraser
Line.
with a Z.
Fraser.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyways, Rebel list, Wedge Antilles with proton torpedoes, 2 Rogue Squadron escorts. Those are the I-4 E-Wings with R4 astromechs, fire control system, and proton torpedoes. This is the closest thing we have to Rebel Alpha ever since Marcel dropped Wedge and Luke and AP5 off from the playfield. And this thing just finds a target, locks it with the U-Wing's ability to take long-range locks, locks it, and just hunts it down, shoots 3 torpedoes at it, and then moves on to the next ship. And it is just an offensive powerhouse here. Obviously favoring with the we see here R4 instead of the R3 astromechs. They let you get double locks, or 2 locks rather, on 2 different objects. The R4 is what makes their dial better, giving them the hard 1s and the blue hard 2s. So I just think that I think all of us collectively have been sleeping on the E-Wing, and I hope these couple get into the can shed some. I think they've always been bad. In fact, they've always been pretty good. Limited in their hitting abilities.
Do you think? Okay, so talking about the E-wing, what is it about the current meta that people are bringing them out? Because the price, I'm looking at our points tracking document, right? And the Rogue Squadron, okay, the Rogue Squadron started. I mean, let's talk about it. Started at 63 points, okay. 63 and is now down to 51. Okay, so minus 12 points brought it into playability. Though in June it was also at 51 points. Okay, so it didn't change in the last points update. What Predator for E-wings got changed around that made it so that people are maybe looking at these a little bit more? Is it just the fact that the Petronaki aces aren't out there chewing stuff up?
I think it's that we are seeing a small decrease in like spam ships, like swarms. Swarms have really fell from their graces. I don't know why. I think people are just bored with them, to be honest with you. But they're no longer the auto win they used to be. That's for sure. That decrease in ship count, which I think we're still averaging about four ships per list per tournament. But it feels like there's less ships, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's just more 2-ship lists to even it out. And this is kind of just the same of the missiles Imperial list is just find one thing and make sure it's off the board in one round of fire, and then just move on to the next, right? And I think that with how I feel like it's more difficult to take ships off the board now. Is that maybe it's just contextual?
I mean, so if Chris has been paying attention to a lot of the general meta right now, a lot of people have been jumping on the dual fire spray bandwagon for Separatists, triple I5, I6. This list packs a lot of punch against 2 agility ships that are medium base, that are easier to catch with those E-wings, with those proton torpedoes and wedge with proton torpedoes. Those are shots those fire sprays do not want to see. Granted, those fire sprays have been generally equipped with false transponder codes, which is a nice counter to something like this, but can't.
I mean, for one round,
is it,
right?
Is it
No,
though?
because these are perfect.
Oh yeah, no, the E-wing just takes the lock early and then just it gets banned
like
off.
you're gone.
Yeah, no. So sorry, I'll take that back. This counters it the other way. My bad.
Yeah, so you're saying that this could be a Django Zam hard counter?
I think it's a really good potential counterplay for something like that, and for other generally low ship count lists. Because, I mean, once those E-wings have those locks, you don't want to be anywhere in their arc because they're 4 dice across the board, range 1 or range 2 to 3, right? So, and there's 2 charges on those proton torpedoes. It is extremely dangerous.
I'm a little ghost. I'm coming.
I can imagine that Sunfuck and the Django Sunfuck, just like, man, once those first 2 locks go on you, it's like, I can't even play this game.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna engage.
You could literally have the E-wings lock both lock Sunfuck and just say, all right, you can't go here, and just corral Sunfuck in a way that he just can't do anything for most of the game. He has to engage in such a specific manner, or he's just going to straight die.
All righty. Very cool. And yeah, Chris is in the chat, actually. He is Kreese Staffa. And he's just been singing the praises of the E-wings. It's a good chassis, very flexible, and the 5 straight boost catches anything. And you gotta watch out for the E-wings. Are we entering the E-wing meta? Maybe. Now
with hyperspace season coming up.
Maybe we'll see the rise of the E-Wing when we get to Galaxies. You know, get those E-Wings ready to fly. Get them ready to fly. All right, we've reached the top 2. We'll go ahead and switch to our events page here because we have them.
Did you skip Nick?
Did I?
Yeah, I think you skipped one of the.
Sorry, Nick. My bad, fam. Sorry, Nick. All right. Well, you know what? I will ask for his forgiveness. Here we got triple silencers, Kylo Ren, Blackout, and the Sinar James engineer. Kylo with Sense. This is something I wanted to talk to you guys about. Lately, we have not seen Sense on Force users. Sense is a card that at range 1 allows you to look at your opponent's dial during the system phase, or you can spend the Force at range 2 and 3. Is it 2 and 3? Or just 2?
2 and 3 to spend it, yeah.
Yeah, spend the Force at range 2 and 3 to look at the dial. And at Initiative 5, it is really awesome because you can check on those higher initiative, the Initiative 6s or the 5s that move after you in order for blocking. Why did Sense fall out of fashion? And you know, Nick obviously was able to bring it to the top 3, but I'm curious a little bit why did it go away for a little bit?
I think it's the Jedi, because the Jedi have primarily been the ones that have been flying it. The Sense, you know, I took it to Worlds the last time there was a Worlds, and that was the reason. I would say that was probably around 50% of the reason why I did the way I did. But the Jedi have been getting more and more expensive. And because the Jedi were the primary carriers, you've been seeing less and less of it. I actually have been seeing it more often with the Eddas, with that expansion. I've been seeing it kind of make a little bit of a resurgence where either, you know, Obi-Wan will have it, so you can have, especially if you're at close range at Initiative 1, you get that free view of the dial of somebody at range 1 without having to spend the Force, and then you can decide at that point, okay, you're going to be over there, I'm going to spend my Force to do a boost in the system phase and block you, and or get behind you or do something like that. So I've seen it more after the ETAs. I have not seen it outside of the Republic a whole lot, maybe but on Kylo, it's a surprise on Kylo. I think because Kylo sometimes is starved for Force, and if anything, you see a lot more hate on him than Sense. So, good call, very good call, good card. I think I have seen it just on Republic more, and the fall of the Republic has also seemed like the fall of Sense.
Well, you're also looking at a list archetype that has an I1 silencer, that has the ability to double reposition, that has an amazing dial. So with the Republic, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have an I1, let alone something low initiative with great repositional capability.
Whoa. Handguns.
Okay, sure. Dumpster tier, I think, was the last thing the handmade. Yeah, it's because the only thing, because Marcel's right, like Republic we have seen Sense used, even on the ETAs recently, which has, you know, combined with the intuitive maneuvers or intuitive thrusters, whatever it is, it has some good use. It would Force starve that one really quick, but might get out of a really sticky situation, might be necessary. Sense is still free at range 1, still really helpful there. But yeah, I mean, you partner it with, we've seen this archetype before, just with a different set of upgrades. And I think empowering that I1 to be a more accurate blocker by just knowing what they're doing just makes the block all the more better. And you still have a silencer chassis, which is really, really durable, even if you have to double reposition for the block and end up taking a shot or two from something else.
Another thought here is, you know, Sense obviously is really good against those higher initiative ships, and you mentioned the Steiner Jameis, but this triple silencer list, I think, is unique in the sense that it has a good matchup with, especially with having Sense in there. It has a chance against both aces and swarms. The maneuverability of this and the durability of that 3 agility, I think, gives you a chance to be able to push through damage on those. You know, 6 to 7 ship lists where you can fly around and start picking away at the swarm, but then of course you have the tools to face against Sense. There was quite a few people in our chat, you know, saying that one of the reasons maybe we've at the past at least have been seeing less Sense is the rise of swarms in a lot of the different factions. That's definitely definitely an option there. All right, let's go ahead and for real now go to our top 2 players, Julian Hood and Jan Esse. Go ahead and take the runner-up, Marcel.
All right, I was about to do my hot take, but I'll save that one for later.
Oh, you got a hot take?
Yeah, somebody in the chat said extreme maneuvers on Kylo instead.
Well, some people have flown it, but that's just not this one.
I get it. But my hot take on that is a 4-point initiative is better than extreme maneuvers on Kylo every day. My hot take. My opinion. And I'm a Daredevil flyer. I love Daredevil, but
what do you mean a 4-point initiative?
Isn't extreme maneuvers 4 points?
Are you talking about for bidding purposes?
Yeah, initiative bid. Yeah,
a
4-point bid.
I didn't hear you say bid.
Yeah, a 4-point bid is better than extreme maneuvers when flying Kylo. Again, might be unpopular, but that's my thing. Going back to Julian Hood. Julian Hood is flying the same list that Andy had earlier that we talked about in some detail with Fifth Brother with passive sensors and homing missiles. Seventh Sister in the Type V1 with passive sensors and mag pulse warhead. Ved Foslo with just plain old passive sensors. And then Death Reigns with passive sensors, diamond boron missiles, thermal detonators, and delayed fuses for a very, 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 very high potential damage output. Very high. And just the way, at least with him, I don't know how Andy was flying it, the way that his order of engagement was he would shoot first he always took a target lock, always. So he would always shoot with Ved Foslo, I'm assuming because it's the cheapest, and if he dies, he dies. You know, that's kind of like a Rocky. If you die, you die. He always shot with Ved first to try to either strip a token, then Seventh Sister with Mag Pulse, and then Fifth Brother just to guarantee that critical in. And yeah, that was always the round of fire. I don't know why you would go with Ved Foslo before the Mag Pulse warhead, but that's just the way it always went. Like every single time it went in that order. First first Foslo, then Mag Pulse, and then homing missile. And again, Death Rain was out being a nuisance, dropping bombs, and not dying.
And then we'll say it's interesting seeing Death Rain without Trajectory Simulator. But if all you're doing, I mean, passive sensors is only 2 points on I4 still. If I'm correct, that's still a really good value right now, and we're seeing that. And then when you look at Death Rain, if all you're trying to do is take bombs, thermal detonators have 4 charges and delayed fuses, and delayed fuses can be used to set that first bomb up so that an enemy escape route isn't there the next turn if you delay it, right? And it also gives Death Rain an action. So the tricky thing is you drop into the system phase, give Death Rain a focus, and then you just passive sensors after your maneuver. So now you can have because normally after your passive sensors, you can't do another action during your activation phase. It can't be coordinated something else, and that needs to be before you use passive sensors. you would need to get an action before that, which Death Ring can manufacture that.
Very cool. And as cited, Julian's been flying this list for a long time. Very, very cool. Then we get to the winner, Jan Esse, a.k.a. cornerback, flying an archetype that that we're familiar with, we know, and should not come to you as a surprise. He has an M3A interceptor swarm. He's got 5 cartel spacers, all with auto blaster, and then to back that up and really the enabler of this squad, we got Torko Mux in that Hawk 290 with Zam and Moldy Crow. I'm telling you, if you're not familiar with Torko Mux, you never played against it, you are in for a rude awakening the first time you do. He says that your ship now engages as Initiative 0, a.k.a. very easy to initiative kill things, especially when you have multiple auto blasters out there. One of the things in the chat here, Mega Silver did play against Tommy, played against Jan. And from his conversations with Jan, very few people went after Torkel first, which is the answer. You gotta get Torkel off the board first. So next time you see it, try to kill it. Now, of course, now you guys would agree that's easier said than done, because if an opponent correctly identifies that you have identified that you need to kill Torkel, they're now going to protect them and try to punish you for going for it.
Yeah, the assumption is the Seeks were used to screen Torkel, but Torkel still needs to be close enough to at least have enemies in arc for the effect to work. What I am curious about is why Jan went for Sunny Bounder with Auto Blaster, which I get has the chance to do even more big damage. But instead of a regular cartel with a tractor beam, which we've seen is still very powerful, and maybe even one of them with tracer missiles too. Like, I don't see maxing out these auto blasters as doing more for you. I feel like you change that Sunny Bounder to a tractor beam cartel, and at least 1 or 2 of them swap out for tracer missiles.
I think what this tells you, because you're really only couple things. One of them is the tractor beam allows you to reposition somebody into the bullseye to be able to get that additional, so to actually take advantage of that. One, but I think what this says more than anything else is just how good cartel spacers are, and just with all of their different options with auto blasters, tractor beams, threat tracers, anything that you can put on them, just how efficient and how effective they are no matter how you load them up. And I think Will and I were having a side discussion about in one of the threads on Facebook about basically what I was saying is, as long as you got 5 cartel spacers, 6 ship is like whatever. Put a 6 ship on there. You got 5 cartel spacers.
Flavor
you got a
taste.
good list. And then he was challenging me and saying, "Well, what if you got mace?" I'm like, sure. Throw dace, not mace, dace. There you go. Like, what? That don't matter. You can put autopilot drone there. It don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, actually, now that I'm like working on like building it, you can do 2 tractor beam cartels, 2 tracer cartels, Torkel still with Zam and Moldy Crow, and you have 30 points left. So you could still fit that Auto Blaster Sunny if you really like it for that like crazy extra Auto Blaster punch, or you can do a 3rd tractor beam Seek. So you can still modify and get these Seeks to a point where we're more used to seeing them in their really threatening state. I mean, if you just take the base Sunny Bounder auto blaster for 30, that's what's left. Or you could still have upgrades left to, do a false transponder code on Torkel.
Now,
You want to target Torkel? Target lock him.
but
You won't.
one of the things we got to note here, though, with auto blasters is there is a simplicity to it. A reduction of, like, listen, all my ships do the same thing. We can simplify. And if I lose one, I am not losing a cog in my in my synergy by keeping it the same. Just kind of going for straight damage. Saying, listen, I'm here for one thing. No shenanigans, just damage. And I think that's probably what Jan was likely going for here. One of the other things that I want to also emphasize is, of course, Zam Crew we know is really good. But the extra value that Zam Crew gives the Moldy Crow as well. Because if you have the potential to fire that front gun twice, because you're in that position and using that Zam Wessel bonus attack, that's tasty. I'm just saying. Zam becomes a nice snack right there. You got to watch out for that one. So, very, very cool list. I know that some people have strong feelings about the M3As, but you gotta get that Torkoal Mux. You got to get them. Now, if you haven't checked it out yet, and we just finished going through those top 16, I would highly suggest going to Pink Brain Matter and checking out the different stats here. There's all kinds of stuff. They break down the entire tournament. You can look for a specific breakdown of the tournament itself and see what the average list size are for each of the factions, as well as how many were represented, how many made the cut, what were the most popular pilots in the cut. And then you can also look at as a season, and they're looking for the season wave 8 right now. They've considered the 5 big tournaments that have happened lately, which we got the Delta and the Alpha Qualifier. We also have the Lima Open, the Polish championships, and the Dutch championships as well. So a lot of cool data in there. You can see just a quick overview. One of the most popular archetypes right now, Zam and Django, but it's kind of, when you look at the access here, it's kind of a little over the middle, right? It's not overpowered right now. It's not succeeding at the rate at which it's being brought, which I find it very interesting. And there's Ryan with his big eyes kind of saying, it can get more powerful.
B+ tier at most, I've been saying it all along, and we're seeing it, right? Like, enough for people to take a lot of, and enough for good players to make cut. But that ceiling's only so high, I think, with that list.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I was just thinking when I was doing when I was bored and just doing what percentage made the ace, I was wondering, going back to our faction ranking, where we ranked them all, how we did, the four of us did on the extended version of it, if we did an extended version. I know we did a hyperspace version of it. We only did the hyperspace one. So it'd be nice to see after the 2 hyperspace ones to see how we guessed.
Yeah, we're gonna have to definitely compare there. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the breakdown there. Like I said, after this, we're going to be just adding on what we talked about last Wednesday after watching the Atomic Max Games Star Wars transmission. There's plenty of content for you there. We're going to end. We're not necessarily ending early. I actually think we're ending on time here at 10 o'clock. So you have plenty of Gold Squadron, and there's more to come. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. Stay smart, stay safe, and sign up for the Sigma qualifier coming up in a couple weeks. The hyperspace begins, and Ryan inspired our topic for next week. We're going to be taking some analysis on what was successful here in Extended and what that can mean for trends that might be set in hyperspace, because we're going to have 5 hyperspace events in a row of premier level play, and I'm looking forward to it.
I think Marcel needs clarification on 5.
I know the 3. What are the other 2?
3 championship events and 2 qualifiers. 3 plus 2, all hyperspace.
Oh, I get it. Yeah. Because you're doing the rookie, the vet, and the ace. But for the players, it's 3.
For the players,
but
it's 3.
for Dion,
Right.
it's 5.
For
Got
us,
it. Okay.
for the data. We are data. I didn't wear that shirt today.
Got it.
Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2. Okay. Well, we got us some tasty news. There was a lot of stuff in there. We'll unpack. I'm waiting for as people show up. Yeah, I mean they're definitely newer to streaming. And that's okay. There's always growing pains. I mean, think about it. I make mistakes too, right? There was a couple of images I wanted to get here. All right. Bring some love to. I don't even know what LATAM is. All right, let's make the regrettable choice. We're gonna Google it off stream. Oh, Latin America. Yes. Duh. I was like, what is LATAM? I've never heard. What is this LATAM you speak of? Yeah. So they gave. All right. Let's get a little more comfortable here. All right. Okay, let me for my guys. Let me see if they're available. Here, we'll switch to just the Dion view here for a second, so I can do a couple of things. How's it going, everybody? It's not Flight Club time. This is just this is the screen that I have up here. Let's see if we can get you something a little more plain. How's this? There we go. A lot of interesting little tidbits in there, and I would garner to say that there was definitely some things that people missed, because I was kind of surprised that so many people were like, get to the content. There was little tidbits hidden inside of what they were saying. If you were listening, though, you had to be listening for some of that stuff. We're gonna go through what I heard. And of course, let me know if I missed something, because just like you guys, I was just listening. I had my notebook, was writing stuff down. Definitely could have missed stuff. Why is this window so big? But you know what? I have so much. I don't know what you guys are excited about. I figured where we start with is we'll go with you guys and tell me what is the one thing from the slew. Well, you can only hear me because they're not talking. You can. From the slew of things that they gave, what was the biggest takeaway for you? Yeah, I mean, I got my notebook here too. Give me one. What was the one thing you're excited about? The one thing that you're excited about first, and we'll unpack that and we'll go step by step.
I'll start.
Go ahead.
So the one thing I'm excited about is we forgot to do the check 1 2 check 1 2. Can you hear me?
I got you guys. I got you. We're good.
Was them saying that they're going that those alternative formats are more at a store local level, in addition to support the competitive play, and that the competitive play is still going to be a feeder into a world's experience. So that was, to me, that's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear something about just competitive play support.
Ryan, your audio's not coming through, buddy.
All right, how about now?
There we go.
I'll say I just kind of piggyback off of that. I'm excited to see what the announcement tomorrow is. We're supposed to get an organized play announcement tomorrow at noon. I guess keep an eye on the AMG socials. That's what they said that you should do from now on, besides potentially some product stuff that they have to release on FFG, because there's still lingering product from FFG, which makes sense. Product takes a long time to develop. So AMG's product isn't going to be showing up until 2022, most likely, or at least with their stamp on it.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what they have. And I guess on the recurring updates part of it too, like we're getting streams every Wednesday and Friday every week that have to deal something with Star Wars, right?
Low key conspiracy theory. They chose Wednesdays, early on Wednesdays. They finish up. We go right into our Wednesday night flight club. We got something to talk about while we play X-Wing every week. Confirmed, right?
And no, now wait, no, you got to remember part 2 because there's Friday, and then you got something to talk about on your Saturday morning games.
Boom.
Bam.
Telling you.
They got the edibles.
All right. What about you, Will? By the way, Will, your camera's not coming through quite yet. Just so you know.
Oh, okay. I'll work on that. Wow. I talked about their commitment to second edition. Definitely has been a heated topic, especially with the changing of developers and the unsuredness of keeping the license that they have until 2023, I believe, or until 24, I guess. I think they have it during 23. But that's good news and should hopefully reassure a lot of people who are still like on the fence about converting over to second edition, or even honestly just the longevity of the game. I think is really proves that they, like I said, that it feels like they are invested. I think I got it working. Oh, I was like, why is it all black?
There he is. There he is.
We get daytime lighting. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
No, you hit it. You hit it.
Oh, I was just gonna say that. Well, I think that me personally, that they were already pretty committed to X-Wing when they made the conversion, because I think that they had to risk like about half of their customers when doing that conversion, right? But with that paying off, I think it still shows that not only is X-Wing able to adapt, that it is still increasing in size.
Yeah, I mean, let's stick there for just a little bit. There is a couple of things that happen in the stream that shows you their confidence in X-Wing Second Edition, and I want to hit this for a little bit because I find there to be too many, and I think it's mostly just people being loud, few people being loud, but I think the reassuring is that the X-Wing 2.0 has all the things that you need to adjust in the game. Right, we have scalable points. We have an app that they could flex different things to. They're good. A couple of the things that I wanted to point out. Simone, head of studio, and I think this was it's reinforced by the Squadron packs, but also in what she was talking about. So in the section where she said, there's going to be these Squadron packs are going to have FFG branding in 2021. Everything in 2022 will have AMG branding. And then she goes, and of course, any reprints we do along the way will have AMG on there as well. Like they mentioned that, okay? So that matters because first, all of the Squadron packs are essentially reprints, right? They're reprints that give us new pilots for things that we have already. So we're going to get access to some ships. Now, the A-Wings and B-Wing, not so much. The Defender, Interceptor, again, not so much. The Hawk is the actual reprint in the box. But they mentioned reprints in there. That means that they might be starting up that reprint cycle for those things that people haven't gotten yet. Because, gunboats, right? Nobody wants to pay $85 for a gunboat on the secondary market. I get it. Okay. Hopefully, K-Wings, all the other ships that people want to get their hands on that they can't right now. That's one of the.
To clarify, when she said reprint, by definition, we're thinking reprint like we're used to thinking of the word. You don't know if potentially the way she's saying reprint is in context of saying when stuff that already exists that's been made for second edition is reprinted and packaged, if it's just packaged with the AMG logo, right? Do we know if that's a difference for sure?
I mean, reprint. I would piggyback off of what you're saying and say reprint could mean a lot of things, right? It is a spectrum there, but at the very least, we know that we'll get reprints of the core set. I'm assuming at some point they're going to want that AMG logo, because there will be some people. There will be some people who are in stores who go, wait a second, is there a difference between AMG X-Wing, like the one with this little yellow robot on it, and the one with this fancy blue F, right? There's going to be people who look at the product and ask if it's different. So if I am AMG and I can afford to reprint some of that older stuff as well as what I've already re-released in second edition, I'd want to swap out that inventory on shelves as soon as possible. Now, of course, stores have to actually buy it, which is a whole nother thing. Yeah, that's it's going to be soon, and I think the branding there will matter for them, and also just any like super casual player entry that'll matter as well, and to avoid any confusion. So tomorrow they're going to be talking about OP, so we can't really talk about that. We know the biggest thing is that no Worlds in 2021, but there might be some casual stuff in the end of this year, which makes sense. We're hoping by by then there's more people able to play around the world, which is great. But you know what it does open the window for, right, guys? Do you guys know?
Oh yeah, the what we are data.
We are online events.
No, but what they did say, they said I didn't hear them say casual. I heard her say that at the end of this year, they're hoping to start with some of the feeder events, starting with local stores. So if they're doing that tiered where you go local, regional, that official OP or organized play would start at the end of the year, but it would be feeder events towards 2022. No, 20. God, I got my numbers till.
No, you're right. You're right. It would feed
22,
into
right?
22 worlds. Yes.
Yeah, to feed into a 2022.
But
world.
I think what Dion's leaning towards here is that he still wants to have some amount of worlds feel online event, just like we did this year.
That's right. Yep. So, I mean,
that's why he's all like, "Sure."
I'm literally wearing the shirt.
Well, yeah, actually, what I thought you were thinking when you did that, what I was thinking is like, I thought you were talking about like what is that called, the war something in St. Louis, because that's not till like October.
Weekend or no? I know what you're talking about. It was whatever the St. Louis weekend was going to be.
Yeah, that one.
That's it. Yeah,
that's what I thought you were referring to.
I haven't heard anything for that, but if we can get that off the ground, there is a chance that could be one of the first bigger events, if of course it is safe to do so. We'll end up seeing, but I believe from what I've heard, Warfare Weekend for this year has been taken off the table. So there might not be that, but they might work with local. There's again, we don't know anything until tomorrow. I do have some sources that I cannot identify that there are people being contacted for organized play stuff around the world, okay? Like, contacts are being made with some of our previous community leaders. We just need to see where that kind of goes from where we're at. That's all I can say in that sense. But yeah, we were already, even if Worlds this year would have happened, the Galactic Championship Series I've been talking about is going to be our main thing that we do, even when in-person play is back, because we want to still give people access who can't necessarily travel to an official in-person World. So the Galactic Championship Series isn't going away, but we want to ensure that we will still have that big, end of season tournament. That's still going to be happening, and there's news for that coming sooner than you think. But that's neither here nor there. We don't got to worry about that right now. Let's talk about some of the releases, because I think that's what people want us to talk about. Some pilots, okay? They want us to talk about some of this good. Because there's some cool stuff, and I'll work on bringing it on screen. Broke it. And again, I went live immediately as soon as they finished up. So give me a second to get some things ready. I didn't have all the assets ready to go.
Well, so what we can talk about is that these were leaked in some amount 2-3 months ago. So we knew that this was in the pipeline at some point. We had not seen any really good images. There may have been images in the past, but they were really low quality, I think. I'm pretty sure we actually didn't have images now, because we had no idea what ships. We only knew the titles. We only knew what they were. We had heard about Skystrike Academy. We had heard Phoenix Cell and with Fugitives and Collaborators.
Yeah, we had heard all the titles. It was from an Italian distributor, had it on the website, but with no picture. So we knew that. It is cool to see to know pilots though. So that's some of the stuff we'll get to. And I'm sure before we even get there, I know that there's people saying, "Where's my Carner Jax?" Okay, and the answer is, I don't think he's going to be in the Skystrike Academy.
Look,
right?
If you people that want their Carnor Jax, I just say okay, Carnor. It's the okay Boomer of first edition. Just get out of here, okay, Carnor.
Hey.
Look, hey, I did notice. Not only are we getting a particular pilot we all know and have used quite a bit as a nice filler ship in other platforms, but we're also getting someone who used to only be an upgrade card that is very big in the story and is I6.
I'm working on getting all that set for. Oh my goodness, why is this stuff breaking? Well, to go ahead and talk about it, I'll bring it up here in a second.
Oh, you want me to talk about the images for now?
Yeah, I'll bring it up. Just give me a second.
All right. So do we want to start with the Imperial one first, since I kind of talked about that one?
Yes.
Right, so that is the Skystrike Academy. It's going to come with 2 TIE Interceptors and 1 TIE Defender, all with nice little painted ends on them with some good detail. They look pretty for sure. And what we can tell is that there is a pilot that is I6 in the TIE Interceptor who is Sienna Rhee, who I alluded to.
Thank goodness.
It will be very interesting to see what her ability is. But yes, Dion, I haven't read the book, but which book she said, was it Aftermath or?
No, Lost Stars.
Lost Stars. Okay.
Oh, Lost Stars. If you've read Lost Stars, you understand. Oh, yes.
Sure.
Sienna.
I knew it was one of them. It was Aftermath or Lost Stars. I can't remember which one.
Oh, Lost Stars.
And then there's the other TIE Interceptor they've shown. There's actually a card for. It's Gideon Hask retaining his Imperial ability. So if something's damaged, that Interceptor I4 is shooting 4 or 5 dice. So that's some hurt. And then there's an I5 TIE Defender, who I can't really read, but I'm pretty sure it's the Skystrike Academy.
Wiltskeri or Wiltskaris.
Scaris, yeah. I think Scaris is like the main instructor for the for Skystrike Academy in the Rebels TV show.
Oh yeah,
I'm not surprised is the featured pilot.
It's Volt, V-U-L-T, Scaris.
Volt Scaris, yep. So I5 Defender. So lots of high initiatives in this so far.
I actually don't like the yellow paint on it. I think it looks. I like the reds. I'm not so keen on the yellow.
See, I'm the reverse. I like the yellow more than the red by comparison.
The yellow will be easy to repaint over a different.
That's
color.
what I was thinking. It'll be one of those repaint test ones. Test your painting skills.
All right.
I mean, wait. You say you hate the yellow, but you're also part of Gold Squadron.
I hate the yellow on that Defender.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. I got us a place to put some images now. Okay, So here's the interceptors. Well, so this comes from the Rebels TV show. For anybody who's not familiar with it, this paint job. This was we actually get to see Walt do his thing. We get to see him pwn some rebels into the fender. I'm not surprised that he's I-5. But let's take a second and talk about Sienna Ree. We had another Initiative 6 interceptor. Right? Like that is massive. Now here, let's take
the ability, right? You need the ability to be. I mean, Soontir's ability is pretty good.
That's right. I mean that's one of the most reasons he's playable is because he's focus evade every single turn. Now, people want us to speculate on her ability. They want us to speculate on the ability. I mean, probably the easiest thing you do is you go and you grab her card, which let's note nobody uses at 6
But
points.
it is coordinate based, and it's coordinate position based.
Yes.
That way.
So her ability as a card right now is after you perform a coordinate action, if the ship you coordinated performed a barrel roll or a boost, it may gain 1 stress token to rotate 90 degrees. So maybe if her ability, if we take the second half, right, we see some possibilities where she can have some, maybe it's like after you perform a red boost or barrel roll, you may rotate 90 degrees, right? Where she might get this extra movement that's part of her ability because it already lives with the auto thrusters. Go ahead, say that again, Ryan.
I'd say that'd be pretty crazy if you could do it with the red one, and not just if you do it, you have to take a stress, so you couldn't use auto thrusters off it. If you could still use auto thrusters, and that'd be nuts.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably where it makes most sense because you wouldn't want to double stress the ship, right? Because people would want to boost barrel roll and then do the thing. That's what will make it good. That'll bring it to that level because it is it's an interceptor. It is if you catch it, it's gonna die unless you got a bunch of tokens. Which I'm thinking for Sienna Ree, her strength will be in the. Her strength will be.
Mike.
I got him.
Fighting.
The strength for Sienna will be possibly in her mobility, not in token stacking.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you look at Dallin Oberus, the Star Viper on Scum, he kind of has something like that. It says after you fully execute a maneuver, you may gain a stress to rotate your ship 90 degrees. That's at Initiative 4, and I know a lot of people, including myself, have theory crafted like how good that ability would be at a higher initiative. So even if it's without actions, you can just like shoot past something and either reposition or turn not reposition, but turn 90 degrees. That'd be pretty good.
All right, I'm gonna go major tinfoil hat here, and I'm gonna get the chat like really thinking here. So we know these aren't going to be the only 2 interceptor pilots, right? Because we've seen these packs; they're big, they have a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know what was really successful recently? That I don't know if this people consider this a spoiler, but it's been out for over a year now. There is a certain Imperial Inquisitor that flies the TIE Interceptor from the game, the Jedi Fallen Order, the Second Sister.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Do we see the Second Sister show up in this pack and give a TIE Interceptor some force?
At initiative, I mean, she'll probably be Initiative 4, right? All the Inquisitors have been, all the named ones at least.
Yeah, I would hope to not have a Force Interceptor I-5 or higher, but
yeah.
I-5 is the highest I'll go.
Yeah, I thought she was in a Reaper. That was a different pilot. That was the
5th? No, not 5th. No. Ninth sister.
Nice.
Yeah. Second sister was the main one. The main character. Will the rest of the Infernal Squadron make it to TIE Interceptors? In the books that I've read, I have not seen any other pilots in Interceptors. I believe in the Battlefront book, they mention Gideon flying an interceptor, which is probably why they end up going here. Like I don't expect like the whole Infernal Squadron is not going to end up being in an interceptor. That's not going to happen.
So. And actually, Wookiee Wonderland brings up something. Sienna Ree is a special pilot in Armada, and her ability deals with while you defend, the attack is treated as obstructed. So could be something where you know it's gaining some agility without necessarily having the range 3 or the obstruction, or just being more elusive in that matter.
Can I throw out my speculation?
Do it.
I think it would be cool. Kind of like it's in the thinking of like Sefton, of like you get good initiative on a good chassis, but not the best ability. But I'm thinking something like Jake's ability, where if Jake focuses, or excuse me, scrap that, similar to Jake's ability. But basically, when she barrel rolls, a ship around here could also barrel roll. If she boosts, a ship around here could also boost. It keeps it so that her action economy is still like on par with normal ships, right? But you leverage that I-6 reposition and could even give it to some lower initiative squad mates then.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, the Jake effect would be interesting because she is, at least by card in X-Wing right now, as an upgrade, is meant to help other people. Dion, you've read the book. Is what matches her more? What can you derive from the book as maybe a ability?
I mean, so Sienna, we know that she's known for her for her maneuverability, and especially they talk about it a lot in the. It's not so much a spoiler, but in the beginning of the book, they talk about her flying. And that she is actually she's in the same book as Thane, by the way, Thane Kyrell, that she is a better pilot than he is and able to pull off more complex maneuvers than he can, which her already being in an interceptor kind of already meets that criteria just because of the way X-Wing works. But yeah, she's a really good pilot, and ends up making it to Imperial Command. So that, like, her crew card kind of gives you that feel already because she is her crew card has a coordinate connected ability. But I mean, it would be kind of crazy to see something along the lines of, you know, maybe. You're saying somebody else can do a barrel roll or a boost around you. What if they just made it a straight coordinate, but you couldn't do it to yourself? So something along the lines of after you perform a red, so always making it red, so you can only do it once, and it would force you to be stressed at the end of like after you perform a red, booster barrel roll. A friendly ship at initiative, at 0 to 1. Right, so making the bubble smaller could perform an action, like that would be kind of powerful, but would be very similar to Jake. Mind you, it's at initiative 6, so that's why they got to be careful if they did some type of coordinate shenanigans. That's why I wouldn't want it to be coordinate necessarily. So not the range 2 bubble, limit it somehow, either change the bubble or make it a specific token.
Yeah, very similar. Like I said, I think they're like Sefton. Well, everybody complains about his ability, but it does make him cheaper, having a very niche ability of boosting, then handing off and evade. Well, I could see something with that with her. I mean, it could be something as simple as you said, like she does maneuvers people can't do, right? So maybe. I guess I'm thinking of like IG-88D's ability, where like crazier sloops and K-turns and things.
I like that.
But they kind of already did that. I'm not sure how to flavor it for an interceptor. I'll say this much though, they'll probably make the ability good, right?
Yeah,
because it does have to compete with Soontir. If the initial pass on the product's like, well. Yeah, they new pilots, but no Soontir. Nobody likes Soontir. Then
Well, but then we also have the the very common opinion is like her ability could just be Initiative 6, right? Like that is a good thing as well. I'm actually trying to pull up the episode where we end up getting this defender because I want to talk about it just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you know that Initiative 6 could be the key. Ryan?
So if you're pulling up, talking about that defender, there is the defender was a large part of the later episodes of Rebels. Is featured as part of Thrawn doing his thing, basically in the show, and the defender had a like higher tiered like Mark II or just a next level up defender that was even like faster or like crazier than the other one. So maybe we see a config for the defenders coming in with this that add that the Defender Elite, I think, that was mentioned in the chat by Catherine, that the Defender Elite itself might be featured as a config upgrade for the base Defender.
But maybe like the Defender itself was already a rare ship, right? So I would think that whatever the config could be, it doesn't.
Yeah, you could pip the config.
Right.
Like one pip, only one Defender Elite can be on the board.
That makes sense to me. I would. I miss the old TIE Ds. Were TIE Ds technically a different ship than the X whatevers? Is that? Do you remember first edition titles?
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, they were. They were different.
Right, I know they were different, but are they like physically different ships?
They're both Defenders. Technically, by general Star Wars canon, a TIE/D is just a TIE Defender. The X7, I think, is a whole different thing where it's meant to the card strips out all those extra upgrade slots to do those. It is a lighter chassis, but they're both still TIE Defenders.
Interesting, because I think it'd be cool. Because I actually like the double tapping. But I think it'd be cool if you could just spend your evade for a cannon attack, so that way you can't have both.
Yeah, I was looking. I didn't see Rebels, so I was just googling Vault Scarus and what he was. Looks like he started out in a TIE Interceptor as a TIE Interceptor pilot, so maybe he's also got a TIE Interceptor version of it.
Maybe like a younger version of him?
Yeah, that he started out there, and then when he went to Admiral Thrawn, he got on the Defender, and that he was, spoiler alerts for anybody who hasn't watched Rebels, and I just Googled it, that he died by basically getting tricked to shut off the shields to allow it to get killed. So maybe the ability has something to do with that, with lowering your shields in order to do something aggressive, maybe.
Yeah, I like it. I was trying to get screenshots from the show, but because Disney Plus is so fancy, I can't. It blocks it. So you'll have to imagine with your mind here. I'm just kind of scrubbing through. And in that episode, you also see Ezra and Sabine actually steal the Defender, and this is a little crazy, guys. This is also the episode where Vader. This is where Vader steals the Defender. Okay.
Vader was never in a Defender in Rebels.
Yeah, he was. Sorry, he said steal the Defender. He flies the Defender in Star Wars Rebels. It happened. I promise you.
If you say so.
It did. I'm looking for the timestamp. It was in the book. Sorry, it was in one of the books, not in Rebels. All right, cool. Maybe that's what it was. All right, cool. I know what happened. It's canon. But yeah, man, it is. It's still canon. It could happen, right? Because we have an Initiative 5 there. We've never had an Initiative 6 defender. But now here's the question. If there was an Initiative 6 Darth Vader defender, how many points is that Darth Vader?
201 epic only.
Get out of here.
201 epic only.
Allow it extended at 201 points. Very reasonable. Yep.
Man.
Yeah, I'm thinking like dash with all the tools points, maybe like 115, 120
Do some math real.
with nothing.
What if they change his ability, though? They change the ability. Okay?
Well, they would have to change the ability because he already gets a free action and free evade, force, and an action. Like, yeah, no. I don't think any defender should ever have force. The more I think about it, no.
Yeah, maybe a simpler action, because it is, while he is an ace pilot, like in the book, he just kind of steps in, flies it like a bamf, and basically is like, Thrawn, this ship is pretty cool, and like that's the scene, okay, in a nutshell. But yeah, it could be our Initiative 6 right there. Some other interceptor pilots we talked about, maybe Carter Jacks, but here's a little craziness. When it comes to Star Strike Academy, we also know that Wedge Antilles is at Star Strike Academy, at least early on before Sabine breaks him out. Could we possibly have Wedge, Imperial Wedge, show up in this Squadron pack? That too crazy?
There's always a chance.
Okay, and again, when I'm thinking, because this would be young Wedge, so not Initiative 6, not the same ability. He wouldn't be battle hardened quite yet. All right, but a little bit of crazy. I'd burn the card. Listen,
Well,
the truth, it happened. You can't hide Wedge's history, okay?
yeah, but it could. However, if you're just looking at timeline chronologically, he's Initiative 6 on an X-Wing. You'll see later how there was a spoiler on an A-Wing that's at Initiative 4. So if there's a interceptor version of it, then it would probably be in the 2-3 range.
Maybe. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that they were still training on TIE fighters in the academy. So I don't think that they would allow cadets to train on actual interceptors.
You're right. Well, maybe this is good job taking the transition, guys. You're so good. All right. So now maybe this is the point where we pull up the Phoenix Cell picture here that we got. All right, the Phoenix Cell. And in here, we do see right there Wedge Antilles in an A-Wing at Initiative 4, as well as Hera Syndulla in the B-Wing, that prototype B-Wing, Initiative 6. All right, the true ace, I think not FFG. Well, guys, this would have been FFG. FFG, right at the end of their X-Wing life, says, you're right, she should have been Initiative 6 the whole time. And then we also got Sabine Wren in an A-Wing. Which one are you the most excited about here?
I think easily Hera. Just any Initiative 6, always excited about Initiative 6. And Sabine is starting to go back to 1.0 Sabine, where it was like Sabine in every faction, in every card. Sabine is like is the rebel oddball. Like, she's gonna be on everything.
Somebody in the chat says the B-Wing that GSP gave away. I think it looks better. I mean, this is a stock model versus a custom painted. You know, it's different. It's different, but everybody can have this one, right? So whoever.
Look here, people. Don't be knocking on the orange B-wing here, right? This thing is cool.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that episode in Rebels that this B-wing featured in had a certain weapon on it that is also in Squadrons. That composite beam cannon. So I potentially expect we might get I'm going to assume it's a double cannon upgrade. Might be bullseye based.
Okay. All righty. So we gotta. I gotta. You know what? Adam Kemper's. I like Adam Kemper. So I want to read his hot take. We're gonna take a pivot here. Okay. Adam Kemper's. Your hot take going live right now. He says again. Quotes. AMG, hot take, AMG hasn't staffed up for X-Wing yet. Again, this is him speculating. They have no idea what they are getting into. Organized play, as described, will be attempted for a year or less before they realize it is too much work and they won't have enough people. Then it will change in some way, maybe just dropping the store casual stuff, maybe almost all, I personally think all, of the bi-weekly Star Wars streams in the next month or two will be just AMG painting models, and probably all Legion. So there's a lot packed in there. Adam's got some feelings, and I figured let's unpack some of those feelings. So some of this, I see some of the worries in here as well. I was also very surprised that they said that they were going to have bi-weekly Star Wars streams. I'm sure one of them will end up being painting. You know, I'm curious to see what the content is. I don't want to comment on the organized play until we see what they have tomorrow, because I think tomorrow will really give us will give us an idea of where their head is at, and then I'll be ready to take some hot takes on the organized play, which essentially will end up being all of this. But yeah, I would say that you know, where their head is at, we don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. But let's give them a chance. Let's give them a chance till tomorrow, and then we'll lock and load some hot takes for that after that. But I want to read that one out there. You know what? So going back to what you were saying, Marcel, with Sabine, you know, you're talking about Sabine here, Sabine there. Sabine, outside of the shuttle very early, the attack shuttle very early in 2nd edition, her pilots have been generally unplayable in 2nd edition. Maybe this is the first A-Wing we get that you can, the first Sabine pilot in an A-Wing that you actually would fly. Maybe?
I think so. I mean, if you just look at the A-Wing is in itself a better ship than the other ships that she's on. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, A-Wings are just good. So, and if the ability stays the same, which I don't anticipate it'll change, having an A-Wing that repositions and can reposition, are they focus boost or are they boost focus?
Boost at the focus boost.
Okay, so they boost after they action. So they can reposition. No, actually, they can boost after an action.
After any action, yeah.
So essentially she can double reposition, move, and you know, take the focus and basically have that reverse, get all 3 actions, and then end up unstressed, and they have unlimited blue maneuvers, and it's just a good ship.
That is if she keeps the same ability, because in Scum on the Shadowcaster, her ability is completely different.
Yeah, it's connected to the arc. I think it's if you can add a focus result in your arc while defending.
Let's do a quick Google. Sabine.
Well, also keep in mind, I don't know if they wanted to give the Shadowcaster a boost or barrel roll. Just be his ability. Would have been, you know, fun times, but I don't think so. Then the other question is, I don't think it's going to hurt that much if, like, Wedge just keeps the same ability in the A-Wing. It's only a 2-die attack ship. It would help it push through, you know, a little bit extra damage.
I could see them sneaking primary Yeah, that's why. Wedge,
Yeah, like a-
Wedge I4
'cause like
Procket. No,
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah, Procket with agility. Yeah, 5 dice.
Well,
and
wait.
-1 agility.
Wedge can use his ability on proton torpedoes.
True, but that's 4 dice, not 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. They need to just sneak primary in there.
Sure.
Slightly different ability.
So you're telling me that people will just get it wrong for the first few months
right.
and forget it, right?
Yeah, or Threat Tracer on there.
Well, yeah.
Lowering
How
agility,
about how about if it's just front arc weapon? That way, no bullseye, no
There you,
fancy
yeah.
turrets or anything goofy. Just if you're firing out the front arc.
Now, here's a little extra layer of speculation. One of the things we've heard about, okay, through the grapevine, is that there may be a rotating turret thingy coming for RZ-1 A-Wings, right? So this ability from the Shadowcaster could actually still work on Rebel Sabine while you defend. If the attacker is in your turret arc at range 0 to 2, you may add 1 focus result to your dice result. So a defensive A-Wing ability, if it had access to a mobile arc somehow, could work. Maybe. Okay. We'll have to wait and see there.
Oh, who's got better eyes than me? What is the other pilot? Oh wait, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong one.
You talking about
Never
Wedge,
mind.
Sabine, Hero?
And Hera. Yep. No, we did talk about them all. I'm one photo ahead. Never mind.
But also, speaking of Hera, keep in mind, Hera flew an A-Wing in the Rebels TV show, just like Volt Scaris. We could see Hera also be in an A-Wing, just like we expect that maybe Volt Scaris will be in a TIE Interceptor.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to lead here. What are some of the other pilots that we'll probably see? Now, we'll probably get the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. Like, that's just going to be, because that's like the generic. But we've seen Hera in an A-Wing. Let's just focus on A-Wings first. We've seen Hera in an A-Wing. I believe we saw Ahsoka in an A-Wing as well. Mm-hmm. She is a really good candidate. A really good candidate to potentially have a pilot seat here. And that would give us, if we had Wedge, Sabine, Hera, and Ahsoka, those 4, that would be a good set of unique pilots for this box right there. I think that those could be your 4 pilots.
You could also see, if I remember correctly in the TV show, Wedge wasn't the only pilot that the Rebels recruited from the Imperial Academy Skystrike. I'm pretty sure, was it Hobby Clivian?
Yes,
we could see Hobby in there too. But also, if Ahsoka is an A-Wing, then maybe the second sister, we get some force on force against these 2 interceptors. You know, gotta equal out the terms of engagement.
This is true. I like that. Yeah, that could be it. Now let's shift over to the B-Wing. Because we only got Hera in this B-Wing. And if they're thinking...
Did you show her a card?
I was just about to pull it up.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and pull up Hera's card here, so that we can discuss her ability, and then I want to hit some other stuff, just talking about the B-Wing in general. So here we go, Hera Syndulla. I like that framing. It looks like the art style from the show, from Star Wars Rebels. While another friendly ship at range 1 to 2 defends or performs an attack, you may transfer 1 of your focus tokens, evade tokens, or locks to that ship.
Remember, the stabilized S-foils when closed can provide that link evade.
Ah, yes. So, okay. This seems pretty solid. And this, it makes sense, right? She is a general. She wants to help her people. It's important to note, though, it says it's a transfer ability. You can't transfer anything back to Hera. There's nothing that you're doing necessarily for her. It's for other people. But we know that Initiative 6 coordinate has always been really good. Now, you can't reposition off of it, but being able to see, to read and react at Initiative 6 is always solid. What are you guys' thoughts on the ability?
My biggest takeaway is the while, which should refer to while you're modifying your dice, assuming that would mean you could see the roll before you transfer a token.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
It's a lot of
Um,
information.
It's a lot of information.
have they done that? It wouldn't work with shooting ordnance because you choose the weapon before you shoot, so you wouldn't be able to say like, oh, I'm going to give at initiative 6, give somebody else a target lock. So it's only for the reroll effect, and I think because of that, because of what they said,
I don't know if that's the case though. Here is my example. Esigi Tuketu in the K-Wing has a very similar ability, but just for focus tokens. Okay? Now it is spending off of him, but the wording here, while a friendly ship at a range defends or performs an attack. That wording is exactly the same.
I don't think we've ever had anyone set up like a barrage rocket or a proton rocket by using a
Yeah, because you have to choose the weapon before the while, and then also the difference here would be in a situation like this, where you shoot with her, and then you have somebody like Will's favorite ship, Wes, the Initiative 4 guy, right? Graven, where you can just transfer the.
Are you talking Jack?
No, he's talking about Garvin Dreas.
Yeah,
Garvin. Yeah, passing the focus. I was like,
yeah.
So let's be honest though. We really didn't know what Marcel was saying. He says weird pilot names for everything. So it could have been any pilot. It could have been Darth Vader he was talking about. All right, we got it.
Will's the only one who flies it. Will is literally the only person who flies that ship. But yeah, I mean, the difference is you're not spending the token; you're actually acquiring it. So somebody like him can acquire it and then repass it off to somebody else. And you don't choose that until you shoot and basically, what's his name again? Garvin, there you go. So Garvin would shoot. If he doesn't spend his token, then he can just toss it himself. If he does need to spend his token, then he just takes it from here and like chains it to somebody else. I mean, there's a lot of.
I mean, Garvin can double shoot if he's in the arc. You can spend 2 focus tokens. Just not. Like nobody does that.
What do you mean double shoot?
Both front and back arc with veteran tail gunner.
The Arc 170 version.
Yep. I think so. This Hera may end up because most of the other B-wing pilots have a way to either get mods while stressed or shed stress. Gina, 10, Braylon. So Hera doesn't have that. So her time on target isn't going to be as great with the B-wing theoretically. But her ability helps still provide advantages in the fight after she's made her main pass. So after she's passed at I6, she could do things like lock, focus, and then, or even if she has the wings closed, do some evade combination. I forget what the linked action combo for that is. But she could then do things that help modify the ships that are still in the fight. Until she's able to turn around in a manner that's more beneficial.
Yeah. Just looking at the card, to me, it seems like one of the best abilities in the game automatically. Because not only because you can pass it, so you have so many different choices on what to pass. It's because of the knowledge that you have when you make that choice is what makes this card better than. Even like Dooku, where you say, well, I'm going to guess, this. That's before you have that knowledge of what the result was. Right here, you can just say, hey, Wedge is getting shot. You can choose after Wedge rolls and does what he needs to do to decide, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw a token over there because he's going to need it.
Yeah, I'm actually been thinking about that. And I while the evade is cool, and certainly they can do it. I think that fire control system on Hera and giving the lock to somebody, I think would be the best way for her to actually still modify her own dice And then it gives it, because we talk about how fire convergence on the lat is so good because you get to see the results before you spend that charge. I mean, Hera's just going to have fire convergence then just, I mean, granted, it's only on a particular ship, but.
Isn't that only for ships that require the target lock to shoot, not on your primary weapon?
I have no idea what you're talking about. Fire control system?
Oh, you mean, okay, fire control system. Got it. So, so she shoots, she re-rolls, and then passes it to somebody else. Okay, I thought you were talking about the one that after you shoot, you reacquire a lock. Yeah.
No, they don't have a gunner slot for that.
That's the gunner slot. That's the new gunner. Weapon system officer. Now, it looks like the chat has gone into a little bit of discussion. So, Harris says you may transfer one of your focus tokens, evade tokens, or, so if we keep that your locks to that ship. What locks are Hera's? The locks she has on another ship, or a lock that is on her?
Oh, yeah, you're talking the Manaroo
situation again, right?
Or Manaroo, yeah. Like Manaroo tosses the locks that Manaroo got locked with, not the locks that she took on someone else.
Is it both? Is it one of them? You know, I think it'd be looking at the recent Holo FAQ to really know for sure how it's treated.
I mean, I would assume because it references focus tokens, evade tokens, and then locks.
That it lock token, yeah.
No, because a lock token would be a token on you. Your lock is just the lock with your name on it.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be able to move enemy locks, is what we're thinking.
No, because then it would just say it would say one of the lock tokens assigned to you. Or wait, how does
it just says locks? It doesn't say your or a lock. It just says locks.
Well, no, yours at the beginning of that sentence to encompass all the things mentioned.
Your focus tokens, your evade, your locks,
or your lock theoretically. Just they didn't need to put your every single time.
Yeah, I think that'll be
because so Holo references your tokens. And I think that's, like I said, that's got to be the difference on that, right? Is that it doesn't say lock token,
but the lock is a token,
right? But it's not your lock token, meaning the one assigned to you. It means the one that you have. No, am I off base here?
I don't know. I mean, either way, it's good. Either you're helping somebody else reroll, or you're guaranteeing that, you know, if somebody shoots you with a, like, they can still lock you and shoot you with ordnance. They just can't modify it because you'll toss that token to somebody else before they modify it.
So
that's how Holo works, though.
Yeah, so I think the problem comes it's a timing issue. Like I've been sitting here staring, and I'm going through the rules reference right now, and there is an entry describing the timing on. It's a question and answer section. It says when specifically during an attack does the effect that apply, quote, while you perform an attack apply. Like when does that happen? And it says here abilities, and I'll pull it so that we can read it here. Make it a little smaller. Right here. Abilities are applied at the step in the attack at which they take effect. And then they give example for Predator. The problem with the wording on Hera is they use the timing is performs an attack. And I was looking in the FAQ for the specific moment that you are defined as performing an attack. And the problem that I'm coming into is if we look here at the attack header in the FAQ, we get the only time we get perform an attack, like those words or perform attacks is here. Ships can perform attacks. If a ship performs an attack, it becomes the attacker. Then follow these steps. So potentially this happens before step 1 happens at all. Potentially. Because going through all these things, this is all defined as performing an attack. It's performing an attack equals everything here. So potentially what we were talking about as yeeting over somebody a focus token so that they can choose the weapon and pay the costs for that, like having a target lock to set up a missile, could potentially, I mean, the way I'm reading it right now, initially, without having, being able to take, 30 minutes to really bear down, potentially, I'm believing at the moment that this happens, that Hera's ability happens before anything. It is essentially, I think this, it kind of almost reads as when you engage, but doesn't say that. Any direct opposition there? Am I missing something?
I guess my follow-up question to that would be, are you also saying then that the part of when you become the defender, she must also pass the token when you're declared as the defender?
I think it's as soon as you're declared the defender. So let's look in the FAQ. Let me go. I don't want you guys don't need to.
Well, so the difficulty part is that it says while.
While
not at the beginning, not at the middle, not at the end. It's like, so if anything, Dion, you're widening the window that this can happen in.
Yeah,
I think
you're
first
given
FAQ,
more freedom.
Exactly.
Well, then I would argue if you don't think it happens at the beginning, then I would maybe argue that it could happen at any point while performing an attack.
Yeah,
that's what we were
making
saying.
it even better.
Even better.
If you clarified that technically, if it goes by that rule that you referenced right there, that says it can happen because you become attacker at like very early before you even choose your weapon. So then, yes, that means not only did we include all the modification stuff, we also included which weapon. So yes, she would just become better, and the while attacking and defending is just a wider window. And
just a quick note here: anybody asking what does it say for defending in the rules reference? It says C attack. Okay, just so you know, it's defined in the attack steps. Marsh Glyph, I disagree. Hey, fam, that's what we're here for.
That's actually an interesting transition back to what they were talking about on the stream. I don't think we covered that they had mentioned that they are setting up an online resource for Legion rules questions and plan to adapt it into the other miniatures games that they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's hopefully we'll find the answer there.
Now, I think it's important that we get these answers relatively soon. Let's just quick talk about, we'll jump to the release date, March 26th. I was surprised, pleasantly surprised that they have a release date so soon, especially after how not that long ago, I mean, it feels not that long ago, we got all the other, the quick waves, right? So, we
got them back in December, right? So
it was December. You're right.
So it's end of March is when we're getting this next one. So that's 3-4 months. That's kind of the average.
I guess maybe my feel is that I'm surprised that they're staying on time.
Close to on time, right? Because if you think it's an expansion set a wave every 3 or 4 months, that's pretty close to being the same time frame.
But yeah, the rules forum will be interesting. I'm curious to see how up to date they stay with it. This is kind of going back to something that Adam was talking about, because they're starting just with Legion. Legion's going to be kind of like their beta test for it, because I'm curious to know how active their Marvel Crisis Protocol version of this was, right? Because as X-Wing players, and I only know us, we have a lot of rules questions all the time. Are they going to be able to handle the influx of questions that are going to come in? But I'm excited that there's going to be a searchable document. It'll be cool. But anyway, back to Hera. She's an Initiative 6 B-Wing. We think she's going to be pretty solid, yeah?
Yeah, are you guys going to put juke on her, you think? Is that too crazy? Like I said, I'm just trying to think of ways to get use out of the token before she passes it.
I'm always against juke where you don't have another offensive modifier unless you can get Jake to help you out.
Yeah, Jake Dutch. I mean, the Rebels are full of it.
I think just the focus is enough. I mean, the worst feeling in X-Wing is conserving a focus that never gets used. So when you take a focus with Hera, the likelihood that focus will come into play at some point just grows exponentially.
And I'm one of the things though we got to watch out for Hera though is. But I mean, you know, I guess she is a 1 agility ship. So if you just decide, you know what, I don't even want this focus for defense. It barely matters. Let's put it somewhere else where I can get more value out of it.
You're going to get way more value giving that to another 3 dice attack than you are keeping it for your own defense, hands down.
Going quickly to my worry here, ProTech Models in the chat says Keyforge had something similar for a while and had to shut it down quite fast due to contradictions and too many questions to answer. I mean, we'll see how they handle it. I think it will. If it's just an open form email where it's just like a comment box, I think that could get crazy. If they create some type of creative solution that will like nest their questions, where it's something like, what your question is regarding what game? X-Wing. Pilot, is it a pilot? A pilot interaction. What was it? Pilot, upgrade, or some other category, and then it kind of makes like a list here that can make it so that people can end up finding the things they need before they answer the question, which would decrease the number of questions they have going in because they can sort with that type of system, but also keep it organized for them to be able to answer them in quickly and avoid people asking the same questions, and maybe be able to be like, oh, somebody has already answered this question. Does it, and maybe the question pops up there, this was answered. Is this the same question? If so, click the I also want this question answered thumbs up or something like that. I think it comes down to organization for their success there. But let's, you guys run over to Scum here because we also got some scummy goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
So excite. Well,
All right.
1/3 excite.
They're not as scummy by the words. They're fugitives and collaborators. They sound a lot less threatening.
Yeah,
They do.
No scummy villains here.
So we got a Y-Wing, a Hawk.
The first re-release of the Hawk and the Scum Y-Wing, technically.
This is true. Oh, you're right, because it is the old model, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know if it's the old model or the new Y-Wing model. I would assume they would have used the new Y-Wing model.
Yeah, the new one with the raised turret. It's got to have that raised turret. They ain't going back to that flat turret.
Does it? I don't know. Looking at this picture, I'm not convinced.
I mean, that's a computer rendering, so I don't know if that's accurate.
It looks like it has it in the new image here.
And like the spread of 3?
The spread of 3, I think, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's there. Okay, cool. No panic. No panic. I was like, wait, what? Those 3. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about this. Like you said, it's our first. It's the first way you can get the Hawk in 2nd edition. If you couldn't get the we couldn't get the 1st edition version of it with the conversion kit. Though I am a little bit surprised to see them. How do I want to say this? Marcel, this is like a business, because this is more of a business question. I want to put it by you. So they could have taken the opportunity to put re-release ships in all of these. They only put it in one. I almost feel like it's a soft beta test to see the sales reaction for this re-release ship, rather than putting resources in a re-release and in its own Hawk, saying this is the only way you can get the Hawk is buying this box. What do you think?
I don't think so, unless it comes with all of the existing pilots that, because this is only the ship. How do you get the pilots
The
that
Rebel
are in Rebel
pilots?
and Scum? So you're not going to be able to get the Rebel pilots from here, and you're not going to be able to get possibly like Paylob and stuff like that. You'll only get like the new ones. You'll still need to get either buy it off the black market, or you'll need to get like the expansion, not the conversion kit. You'll still need to get like a conversion kit, and at this point, all you need is a model. So, yeah, especially for the Hawk, being that the Hawk has the same model as he's used in different factions, and this is a faction specific. So I don't think that's what they're doing here. I
Okay.
think they're just,
That makes sense.
yeah, I think that they're just trying to figure out like which ships don't have a lot of pilots at the moment, and they probably.
Actually,
probably with
the Star Fury Omega is actually correct here in the chat, saying they did that for the ARC 170, though. There is not a Rebel release for the ARC 170, and if you want to play it as a 2.0 player, you have to get the cards from the conversion kit. There's no other option there. But something else I wanted to... Go ahead. Something else I wanted to bring up here is, what do we think our pilots? We know one. We'll talk about Kanan in a second. I'm sure you guys want us to talk about that. Do we think we're just going to get, because this is kind of the Squadron packs are almost look like as a faction starter kit? What do you think they're going to include? Paylob and Torkel Mux and Dace Bornarm. Do you think those will be included in here? You don't think so?
No.
They wouldn't
Did
put
they
them in?
include? Did they include Tally in the Heralds of Hope?
You're right. But there is no individual release for the Hawk. I guess, you know what, Marcel,
Bobolab, Torrance.
This is where we probably know if they will end up re-releasing that Hawk being alone in second edition, is if they include Paylob, Torkel, and Dace as just cards and cardboard in there. Maybe they wouldn't consider. I don't know. I'm just trying to dig here.
If you're just, if anything, they would. That just takes money out of their pocket, because they want to release. They want you to buy 3 of these. So in order to buy 3 of these, you need this Fugitives and Collaborators. Then you need the re-release for the Scum, and then you need the re-release for the Rebels, and that's 3 purchases. They're more likely to do that than give you give you free stuff that just give you free stuff.
If there's one thing we've known about FFG in the past, is that generally when they release like a crew upgrade, sometimes pilot, normally the next is going to follow pretty soon, especially if they come out with something that, like the Hawk, could house a pilot of a certain crew card everyone was excited for in the Separatist pack. What if we get, finally, Hondo Pilot?
Hondo Pilot.
Although it is more known that he flew the actual fire spray once in the TV show, Clone Wars, not the Hawk. But the Hawk has been noted to house certain characters that we haven't seen them, whether it's in comics, shows, or books, but it seems to be the home for the outcasts, outlaws, smugglers that are notable names, but we don't want to put them in like a featured bounty hunter ship, nor just a generic like M3A or a Y-wing style. The Hawk seems to be a character favorite landing point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is I think a good transition to go ahead and hit the Kanan Jarrus in the Hawk. Now, a little bit of backstory here. We see Kanan in a Hawk as like a crew member in a comic book series when he's a young Padawan, if I'm not mistaken. So there he is, Kanan Jarrus in all his glory. Kanan. While you, Initiative 3, by the way, the Lost Padawan, while you or a ship in your turret arc defends, you may spend 1 force. If you do, the attacker rolls 1 fewer attack die.
That's Rebel VCX.
Yeah, that's very similar. Very similar, but actually on a chassis that might be cheap enough for you to actually want to play it.
Also doesn't gain the advantage of adding multi-crow title to it. It's only in the turret arc.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he is the... obviously he's a force
Scroll down
user.
there, zoom out a little bit. People can't see the force charges.
My stats, how many
They-
force?
they
Sorry
need-
about that.
They need the stats.
There we go.
But man, wouldn't it be a bummer to just assuming this Hawk would have the illicit slot? I don't know, wouldn't it be a bummer if you had false transponder codes and you still took multi-crow, banked up some focuses and locked someone, which ended up being a jam because of false transponder, and then you also lower their attack dice by 1. It's almost like a built-in mag pulse missile.
Yeah, you're right. I am the mag pulse. I like it. Okay. So somebody says, so if Kanan is defending, does he spend his 1 force to reduce his attack or save it for defense? Mathematically, the correct choice. Well, I mean, if you only have 1 resource and you could choose to either take away a die or hold on to it for defense, I would assume that you would just take away the die because you make it, you eliminate, it's a guaranteed conversion of an evade by taking the dice completely out of it, like conversion, because you still have the dice as a possibility. So you're going 2 agility plus guarantee taking away something. So if you have the opportunity to use the ability, you use the ability. It's better.
And not only that, with these, with the multi-crow title, you usually have a couple banked anyway, 2 or 3 focuses. So just get rid of the dice and still have the focus for defense. So this is a good carrier for that.
Oh man, someone mentioned adding the because Kanan is light side only, you could add Maul to his Hawk to put some dark side upgrades on him. But they also have 2 modifications, so you can go whole shield, multi-crow, Maul, double force, hate, all the force. Wow.
Patience.
Yeah, I guess.
But, I mean, you're not really spending your 1 force before the engagement, though.
Yeah, and I think that's another question, too, because they've done that now a couple times where they've added force and elite pilot talents, Anakin, and then with the Eddas. So, who knows if this will have a force talent or a elite pilot talent.
Okay, and here is evidence of Kanan flying as a Padawan. Okay, now it's not an Arc 170; it's a different ship, but there's our lost Padawan flying, running away from some clones. Right there. But yeah, it is cool to see them starting to recognize some of the book materials a little bit more, starting to expand X-Wing. Because one of the things I really like about X-Wing that I feel like it can take a casual Star Wars fan and throw it into the lore pretty big. Because you start asking the questions. Wait, why is he in Scum and Initiative 3? What happened there? What lost Padawan? What? And it starts expanding the mind there. Now, some of the other pilots that were that people say, according to enhancing here, we got Lemma Kai, Ulriz Handrasen, and Galmet Key. We'll go ahead and pull up some Wikipedia articles for these people because off the top of my head, I'm not remembering.
I've been doing some research on this Galmet Key. He was
hit me
essentially a smuggler, if you will.
Oh, he's right here. This guy.
Yeah, he's kind of a fisherman. I don't know what race he is. He's a Calarian. Kind of like a fishman, kind of like a aquatic looking. He's got a fin, but it seems to be that he kind of ran this smuggling ring, and he ended up being a rival of Caleb Dune during Caleb Dune's kind of Outer Rim years there in the Scum faction. So it's just like I said, it's mostly his rival. You've read more comic books about Kanan than I have.
Yeah, you assume I remember all the details. Yeah. So he also he does become a rival of him, and actually he's in here as well. He actually becomes part of his crew for a little bit, very early on. Kanan is a part of his crew. So that
I wonder if we'll get Kanan or him as crew members.
Let's see right here. We have here is a line, and he ends up becoming a governor at some point. Like I will read word for word here. I am Galmic Key. Here's the scene, by the way. Okay, in the comic book, I am Galmic King, provincial governor and caller with full imperial authority. This is when he ends up running into the rebels later on, and Kanan's like, I knew that dude.
That guy, I know you.
I knew that guy. And let's go ahead and pull up some of these other names we have here. Okay. Looks like we don't have any images currently of Ulrich Hadrassen, but it's a female human who served in the Galactic Empire prior to its defeat at the Battle of Jakku. Initially a TIE fighter pilot with the Imperial Starfleet, she later became an officer of the Security Bureau and helped chase down spice runners around Kessel. Her elder brother also served in the Empire. Following the Empire's defeat and the establishment of the New Republic, she became a small-time businesswoman and leader of the Axiom Warriors. All right, which is probably where we get that little bit of scumminess there when she becomes a part of the Axiom Warriors, which looks like a paramilitary group in Star Wars. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And then Lema Kai, what do we got? What's in the box, Lema Kai? What's in the box? Lema Kai is a security officer, commander of the Opportunity. What's the Opportunity here? I'm not sure if this is the same. Opportunity is a Nebulon B. Was killed when her modified N1 starfighter was shot down by Iden Versio. Okay, so I think if Lema Kai is actually a pilot, it's a little random, I would say, as a take there. But you know, if they're just trying to fill it out, sometimes you gotta just yeet a character in a ship, right?
Do you guys have a? Oh wait, I probably lost it. Where's the picture that has those ships?
This one?
I don't know.
Yeah. I wasn't. They made that one super tiny. They made it super tiny in the video. I don't know if anybody has a higher res picture of it. Let me know in the chat.
No, it was just confirming my suspicions here. So we're putting on our tinfoil hats for this next segment. That Hawk does not have a turret, does it?
It does not.
Which means the A-Wings we saw earlier could have a turret.
Correct. Because the Hawk is a turreted weapon.
The Hawk has to have a turret. So anyways, I just been we were mentioning the A-Wings possibly getting that rotating style. But then I was like, oh, but the models don't have the turrets. And even
because that would be a spoiler. That would be a huge spoiler if they did.
Wait, but isn't the turret underneath the cockpit area?
No, we're talking about
the
base plate. The base plate. The cardboard.
The arc indicator.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Yeah, like they wouldn't put it on because same thing with the Y wings. They can carry a
But
turret, but they don't put it on.
they had. Oh, because when they did the T-70s, they had the little extra arcs set off to the side.
Yeah, they had it in the
marketing
spread.
photos.
For the
Yeah, they did the
underslung
spread.
blaster cannon.
Yeah, those weren't on the ship though, were they? All right. I'm just saying. Tim Pola had time about looking way too deep into which ships actually have mobile arcs on them.
Yeah, I think that one is kind of like I said. That one's been out of the box for a while, as far as like the spoiler or the rumor.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
But all we
They didn't
have is
even put
rumors
out
until we have it in a month and a half, right? Right, March 26th. Is that that's what it was again? I
That's
lost
2
my
months.
page. 2 months.
Closer to 2 months.
Closer to 2 months. Yeah, you're right. We're in early February. I mean, that time will go by super fast. Now, the Y-wing pilots, I don't think we can enhance enough to see what we got in the Y-wing pilot. I mean, that is just like super blurry. We got any sleuths out there?
Wait, what are we sleuthing the other name? I thought you got both names.
The Y-wing pilots. I mean, that we're assuming that's some of the people's guesses there, but yeah, it's man, it's gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting. Somebody say, oh, maybe the Y-wing was the Kai, not a. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, that's magnifying glass time is for for another time. We don't got to do that right now. So, I mean, what else do we want to hit? I mean, we did hit on a lot of stuff in here. I'm looking at my notes. Marcel, I know you got a sheet there as well.
Yeah, I think co-op. We talked about it a little bit that they're working on co-op.
No, I don't think. Did we hit that? Did we hit they did mention.
Well,
that.
I don't know if we talked about it, but during they mentioned that as those being like the side events that they're working on as a co-op format.
Well, they didn't necessarily say. They said So in the line, I'm looking at my notes right now. She said, guys, I don't want you to worry about it. We do have. There's no X-wing 3. I guess that's the other thing. X-wing 3.0 not happening. Okay. Will we have other things? Will we have maybe something like a co-op? Yes. And then they kind of just moved on and left that hanging.
We did miss what? Oh, go ahead.
What do we think? They said there's an update to the app. They said they're going to continue updating the app, which is good, of course, and they'll update the points. But co-op,
yeah.
what do you think co-op could look like? What do you think they're talking about?
Okay, so just so the notes, we'll jump on the co-op. But I think the two things that we missed, we didn't talk about the co-op, and also I don't think we talked about that 4-day Gen Con style streaming event. Also,
yes, I actually have a box here because I missed the dates. March.
It was the end of March. It was like March. I'm assuming it's probably around the dates of the release of the ships.
Right.
Beforehand, I think it's March 18th through the 20th.
I didn't catch the dates. I just remember it was 4 days, and they were trying to do a 4-day it was a 3-day.
Can't confirm. It was 18 to 20 or 18 to 21.
Something like that. And it was like 4 streams a day or 4 or 5 streams a day. And I don't know what they did at Gen Con, but
it sounded like they referenced like painting classes and more demonstrations for their games, but it didn't sound like what do I want to say? It wasn't like press conferences. It sounded like more like interactive, like what you would see at like an actual convention when they put on a demonstration.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what comes out of that because we could have previews because they did say they were going to have some of this. I think Simone said the marketing team. I'm sure will have some fun things to drop then, so that'll be interesting to watch. Of course, that's going to be because it is over several days. It'd be really hard for us to be like live right after each one of those. We'll probably sum them up, maybe end of days or something like that. But I'm curious to see what comes after that AMG stream weekend, March 18th to the 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, that makes sense because that would be Thursday through Sunday. Okay. And then maybe who knows? That's where we get the announcement for what comes next after these 3 packs. Mando? Question mark? Mando?
Grogu.
On the razor's edge of the crest of the announcements.
We're right there. We're right there. So co-op here. I want to talk about it just for a minute. What would a co-op version of X-Wing? I'm assuming, of course, it's going to be casual, or like Marcel, you were talking about a side event thing. I mean, is that any different than what we've done? Just like Team X-Wing. What other ideas you got off the top of your head there?
To me, co-op sounded more like multiple people on the same table.
It's like a Turi cluster style, something like that.
Probably, like theme, kind of like Imperial Assault or something like that, where you're trying to achieve a mission collaboratively, and so maybe something like that, where because it didn't say co-op like 2 versus 2, it was more co-op. Sounded more like, you know, the people, the 2 players playing are trying to achieve a goal combined, whatever that goal is.
Well, she had mentioned like a Vader style game where people, granted this is for Legion, I'm not getting ahead of myself, where it was just like a bunch of people just trying to fight a basically unkillable Vader. I think that would be very interesting. If we had to, it might take 2 of us to fight down Vader in a Defender.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did the math earlier for people who are thinking about Vader in the Defender that has 3 Force, Evade, Focus. That takes a lot of shots to kill. By a lot, I mean more than most shots you'll take in an entire game with most average lists.
Now, somebody in the chat used Atratus in the chat said, look at Marvel Crisis Protocol Ultimate Encounters, which is maybe where the inspiration comes here. Let me go ahead and zoom out just a bit. So it says, in Ultimate Encounter, players from a crisis team with multiple squads to battle a deadly threat in unique narrative missions called encounters. Each of these encounters specifies the number of players as well as the squad size for each player on their setup card. So that's interesting as a possible kind of design circle for some type of co-op. Now, Will, off of what you were saying, this looks like a very easy to adapt for Legion. Just like copy paste, change it from Marvel to Star Wars, reskin it, and you got that. My question is, how do you translate this to X-Wing? How do you translate this to X-Wing? And one of my theories, my tinfoil hat on, is you remember the X-Wing solo mode that got released prime pandemic time? I almost feel like that may have been a precursor to attempting some type of quote-unquote AI system for an encounter. What do you think?
I mean, that's the easiest way to play test is release it to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the fastest way for you to get feedback on it. Is let somebody else, like, let the public play it. So I'm not sure how much feedback they got on it because I'm not sure who was doing the solo play. But
I'm also thinking.
it
Oh,
makes
go ahead.
sense. No, I was just going to say that it makes sense that would be the precursor, like the beta for testing official AI rules.
Yeah, because I'm thinking also just potential not at AMG's games, but again going back to like some of the FFG games, going back to Imperial Assault. Like it's a co-op, but it's also a PvP where you have a villain player and then you have like 2, 3, 4 regular players, and it's like 3 players that are trying to beat the one villain. or it's the villain has more tools, but the 3 players have their own specific rule sets and things like that. So I think there's ways to go about it and make it interesting and make it more than just 2 people. Expand it to having 3, 4, 5 people on the mat, even if each person only gets 1 ship, and then the GM or the person running the game has like more resources and reinforcements and stuff like that.
Okay. Another idea here is a couple people in the chat are saying a co-op mode could work really well, or maybe a little bit easier design-wise with Epic Ship. So like your squads versus a really strong raider, or what's the CR90 or the scum ship. That could be because it is moving slower. You have the opportunity to do some stuff, because I think one of the clunky things about the X-Wing Solo, which is why we haven't featured it on here, because I did try it out just a little bit, is the pilots, the individual pilots move very weird. The Aturi cluster one is better because it's a little bit better thought out, and it has that same logic, right? Depending on where you are, you have a limited number of choices that make sort of sense. And I have to say sort of sense because it can still be quite strange. And recently, the Aturi cluster, I believe designer ended up applying his design to Attack Wing recently. But I'd be curious just to see. I really want to know what that co-op mode is, because co-op mode gives us an opportunity to bring in players who don't know about the game yet. And because I will tell you this, if you've ever played games like the other co-op board games with other people, that is the easiest way to get somebody who's not competitive and start inching them towards being competitive in board games. When you start working together. So I'll give a perfect example. Like if you ever wanted an opportunity to play with a significant other who might not be interested in playing a normal game of X-Wing with you, if you're working together on a specific target or objective, you have a much higher probability of getting a significant other to play with you if they're not normally interested in going one-on-one versus you.
Can confirm. Much better for my wife to yell "die, die, die." It's something else and not me.
Exactly.
She is aggressive in board games, but not like in a bad way, in a more fun way.
Yeah, I like it. So we'll end up seeing where this ends up going. It's a lot of possibilities. On, I think, is it tomorrow? Tomorrow there's going to be at noon an OP stream. In order to take today's half day, in order to be ready for you guys, I had to stack a bunch of lessons to tomorrow, so we will not be immediately live after that one. But I think it was important to do it today in order to. Of course, we also didn't know what was happening tomorrow. No shade, no foul, no shade, AMG. But when I get home, well, of course we'll be talking about it on Discord and everything like that, and be able to break it down, and we'll hit it. But yeah, there was a lot here. I'm trying to think about our podcast. What are some we got ships confirmed. No new, not technically they're new, even though we had some suspicions. We didn't get Razor Crest. They at least hinted that OP is coming. We got confirmation that Worlds wasn't happening. Was there anything that we really wanted yesterday that was not a pipe dream that didn't get mentioned? I'm gonna go look at our notes here real quick.
No, they did more than I thought they would, which was products and release dates. I guess I assumed that they were going to show a product, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm surprised that they had a release date, and it was so soon.
Yeah, we got release date. Well, it seemed like I forget, I'm brain farting on her name, but she seemed to enjoy having little spoilers
Yeah, Simone,
getting
yes.
out of Simone. But I mean, yeah, we got ships that I guess I didn't expect right away. But I guess it's always the part where, as explained by Simone, that FFG still is kind of had stuff in development for a while, and just it's going to be FFG developed stuff pretty much till the end of 2021, like they mentioned. So 2022 is we're going to see the AMG fingerprint realistically. The sort of 100%, or at least plans right now, 100% guaranteeing there's no third edition that they're planning at all, that there's no plan whatsoever to require you to start painting, or they're not going to sell unpainted Armada and X-Wing stuff. That's going to stick to just Legion as of now. I guess that what they didn't do, and I'm kind of surprised they didn't, especially for how much Simone was like hinting at stuff happening. No brand new game has been talked about or mentioned or hinted at. It's just maintaining what has existed, which most people, I assume at this point, wanted to feel at ease about more so than anything new yet.
I think that's important though, right? Because in order for them to keep their fastest way to make money on a new product is to reassure us that the one that we love right now is going to be intact, right? It's like, hey, you guys love X-Wing? And I went to our notes. The biggest headers we had is we wanted to learn a little bit about their philosophy, which I feel like we got in bits of pieces. They're obviously passionate about games. They like doing these little tidbit drops like you mentioned there. So we got to learn a little bit about them. We'll get that more over time. But we wanted reassurances on some of the major pillars, right? They said that they're still going to be maintaining the app and doing points changes regularly. That was still confirmed, that they're going to have rules documents like usual. They're getting an updated website, which thank God, because their current one is kind of jank, to be completely honest. Okay. And that the ships are still going to be painted, and that they have an organized play plan. We just don't know what that is until tomorrow. Yeah,
I guess the main philosophy I'd say I was able to pick up on is it's the local store oriented focus, the community building focus, and making it your own, I guess, because their focus originally is Marvel Crisis Protocol. The painting is a large part of that, making things look the way that people want to as a hobbyist level. So they still want to bring that hobbyist, make it your own feel to the X-Wing and Armada games, even though they're coming out as pre-painted and pre-built. So they did talk about how, even though they're coming out this way, they're still going to either have streams or articles potentially that say, hey, this is what you could do to make this your own.
Right. And that's a good marketing strategy as well. It's something that just came to mind. Because if they're doing repaints of X-Wing ships on their stream as well, some of the hobbyist gamers, the ones who like to build and paint things, and that's their passion, it's potentially creating a bridge saying, hey, we know that these models are painted already, but you can repaint them. And if they kind of create that culture of it being okay to repaint, which, by the way, Gold Squadron Paint Wars, okay? We actually picked our contestants today. We're putting out emails over the next few days. Building that culture is important. And who knows? We'll see how far they take it. Are they going to be crazy enough to, kit bash a ship? Where they break a ship and use pieces, and we don't know. We don't know, but there's potential there. Here is my kind of where I want to end this talk for today. What we got direct word now from AMG about our game, the thing that we love. Do you have positive feelings right now about our initial experience with AMG? Well, Ryan, we'll start with you. Good feels? Middle feels? Where are you on the spectrum?
If there was a the strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree, I'm in the agree. I'm in the just above average, feeling good, but not overhyped, crazy, let's go. Because And realistically, they're maintaining games that already are loved by us and by many other people. I just want them to maintain it. There's nothing. I mean, sure, the new packs look cool, but they are all ships that exist. They're just new pilots and new flavors to add to the game. And I just hope that they do it all really well.
Marcel?
I'm the same. I feel good. I feel better after than I did before. So I would say I was in the neutral to good. Like if we're on a 10-point scale, I was probably at a 6 before. Right now, I'd say I'm about a good 7.5. I feel confident, but like Ryan said, it feels status quo. Like let's not rock the boat. We just got this. We don't know enough, so let's not make any changes. And even Simone coming on, and I don't remember the guy's name, but they knew that was a concern for people, and that was like one of the things. Don't worry, you're not gonna have to paint them. Don't worry, we're not gonna get rid of OP. Don't worry, we're not gonna do 3.0. Like so, I think if anything, like the most positive thing that I got out of it is that they do seem to have their ear to the ground. So I mean, they might be listening to this, I don't know, or following the Fly Better page, listening to this, then doing other things like they're it seems like they're listening.
Will?
I'm just there. I'm not like crazy hyped, but I am feeling good. Moving forward with certain not precautions, but the precautions you do in your brain. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I think actually one of the biggest things was getting Simone on there. I've met her, through, she's been working at FFG forever. And because she's now with the acting president, I don't know what they call.
She
they
is
actually
the
call
studio president
of AMG,
of AMG,
right? Okay, and that does make me feel a lot better because she has worked for so long with these products, like these products that she was like holding up or whatever. Like she was there while they were starting to make all that stuff. And I think that was my biggest concern really was the transitioning, right? Because especially when all the announcements of what happened with FFG employees not working there anymore, essentially. I didn't know how that transition was going to go. Were they just going to like email them like, hey, this is what, FFG was going to release, catch up.
Yeah.
So to have someone who was like there the whole time, can smooth things over, obviously very smart because she's been working there quite a while. So as long as like she's, comfortable, what do I want to say? Not that in like spoilers, she was very excited about spoilers, but like that approach of being like, I want to tell people about this. Like I want to get information out to to our customers and potential customers. Like that is a good sign that, she's already kind of already believes in the products.
Right.
So I like that.
For me, I know a lot of people are using this word vanilla, that it was kind of vanilla. I think it was important that it was vanilla to start because I think this is kind of switching worlds, but a lot of time in teaching, especially when it comes to the arts, unless something has gone terribly wrong, if you have some type of success and you're taking something over, you are the person in power, a lot of times it's good not to rock the boat at first, okay? Don't do anything too crazy because you don't want to panic your biggest supporters, right? Of this product. So I'm glad they didn't do anything there. If I want to give them just a couple of critiques, there's two things, and this mostly I'll give them two critiques, and I'm also going to give a plus. similar to what you were saying, Will, it seems like their communication is probably going to be more, it's if they keep that stream schedule, it's going to be way more active than what FFG had, which is great because that creates community connection, right? That's awesome. But and this is as a streamer to them as streamers, I think they're going to need to up the production quality just a little bit, okay? Hey, AMG, give a guy a call. We'll help you out, okay? We'll help you out. Shameless, absolutely shameless. But also, I think it's important that they make connections with community leaders, okay? And I'm saying that completely, 100% selfishly, okay? AMG, reply to my emails, okay? So I resent my interview for requests today. I sent it today, basically saying, hey, super excited for your announcements today. Looking forward to see what you got. Because they have this email out there that's press@atomicmassgames.com. If any inquiries, please go here. Like that is on all their official documentation has that at the bottom, okay? So if that is my contact through AMG, by the way, I've also sent them tweets, Facebook messages, and a gift basket at this point, okay? Like, I want to see them start creating that connection because the reality is that, them being as a studio new to FFG, new to X-Wing, their biggest draw is the fact that they have the home information, right? They have access to the new stuff because they are the creators and all that. They have that information. But the reality is, like, when you had the developers or kind of random people on their streams playing games or breaking stuff down, most people, I would say most people, didn't really value that part outside of the, like, oh, we got to see this card text. Like, that is why people watched. They didn't necessarily value the commentary or analysis from what they had. So I think it's important that they connect with community leaders that people have respect for those things when it comes to the analysis, the breaking down, and make those connections and actively show that they have them. And I think that will raise awareness for their brand, because if their ambassadors for the game have positive feelings towards the company, that's just gonna help everything. That's just gonna help everything there. So I am excited to see what happens. I know that there are some things that they cannot address. They're never going to talk about, let's be real here, they're never going to talk about online X-Wing, ever. They're never going to talk about it because they can't unless they end up having their own product that does it. They're never going to talk about, they're likely not going to address alt art cards and all that stuff. And all of the gray area that we know that they kind of need to hide their eyes from, they're not going to address that stuff. But I think they need to find that middle line to be able to collaborate with people in the community who are, in a sense, giving them free advertising, using their product, and without, like, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? And there's a reality that in this COVID time, think about all the amazing content creators around the world that have essentially kept the community excited about playing X-Wing without essentially the existence of official support outside of the release of a few new ships, which is awesome. But it really has been the community keeping itself afloat until we get that official OP, because like Marcel has talked about many times, the thing that really drives the game is organized play, all right? And that's my 2 cents. Any other closing thoughts before we transition to whatever we're gonna do next, which I haven't actually even planned for? Alrighty.
I got one thing. Did anybody else catch what she had said about the employees? About the getting X-Wing developers over to there. From what I could infer, I forget, I can't quote her directly, but it didn't sound like they had any developers currently. or there was no development process happening. Do you guys remember what that was?
I would say that I don't remember them specifically talking about who are the X-Wing developers. They made it was very general. They said that in that 2022 would be AMG X-Wing product. The question is, how far ahead are there going to be, right? Because even if they take this year to design stuff, okay, they still need to get stuff to production. They still got to get it printed, packaged, and all that. So they need to have some type of product done before 2022 happens. They have to have that ready to ship before it goes. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some logistics stuff. And I know one of the things that a lot of people wanted to address in the chat, which I think we should probably talk about, is the logistics system. I unfortunately don't think logistics will change, because that's not an AMG issue. That's an Asmodee issue.
I agree from delivering ships and working with distributors. I don't know if they can't support it from a because it's different, like getting ships out there. That's one element, right? So one element is just working through distribution and getting partners, and you have to go through an Asmodee. Asmodee is the one that's handling that. But what AMG can do is provide support from organized play, and I think even if they're getting hurt from, and let's use Brazil as an example. Even if Brazil's having a hard time getting the actual models on hand, if AMG provides organized play support by saying you're our official, tournament, like you are the person that's going to be, or you're the store that's going to be running our official events. Here's some, store kits that we can sell to you directly, or even ship to you directly. Like there's things that they can do that can help ease the feels bad of of the parent company not working through the distribution channel in the right way. Mm-hmm. Like I said, just a little bit of attention and a little bit of personal communication will go a long way in building those communities, because if you're having a hard time and then the actual company's reaching out and saying, hey, we feel your pain, we're trying to work with the distributors, what can we do to help you grow in the meantime, while our parent company and your distributors and whatever else is the holdup, goes through whatever process they need to go through.
Yep, that's very true. But yeah, so that's why I in the end, I'm not sure what will change, though I will say it is an opportunity for change for the top, for the people who are in charge of the logistics and distribution, that saying, all right, this switch to AMG is a chance to get people excited, because there is that cost benefit analysis that they need to do, right? Are there, which I want to believe that the answer is yes, are there enough people in an area to buy product that will, versus being able to buy it online? It's I know that that's all part of their decision making there, but then also you got to say, like, well, is it worth maybe taking a monetary loss to get product in an area that maybe wouldn't sell as much, but you prioritize the overall community feel? Now, the Asmodee is a business first, of course, but it's a way that they can possibly go about it. So, I'll be completely honest. Go ahead, Will.
Oh, I got a quick question here. And then I gotta peace out, actually.
Yeah, no worries.
Scheduled Kyber game. But this is from Foxhound, referencing if the release date is the last week of March. We have our Ace Championship, March 27th through 28th. Previously, we've allowed a 1 week, but that's going to be cutting it.
That's a
real
1
close.
day.
Yeah. I'm sure you don't have to answer that right away, but I'm sure you'll get more questions about that in the coming times.
Allow it.
Here's
Allow it.
let me build my case first before I say either of them. Okay. So I'm hoping that by that time, by the release date, that we probably know most, if not all, of the cards, right? If we know the things that exist, Ace level players most likely have already been thinking of possible combinations. And the question is, depending on when we get points. So I would say the answer is probably would be illegal, depending on when we get the points. Okay, if they drop the points on, let me grab my my calendar here.
They drop the points on Friday, the 26th.
Yeah, if they drop it on the 26th, I don't, because the problem is the squad builders. The squad builders need time to get everything updated. Okay,
Right.
which means it needs to be
correct.
And correct, and it needs to be updated into things like YASB. So if we get it on the 26th, my heart right now I could change my mind. This is not official. Not official. It's coming from Dion, but it's not official, okay? My heart right now tells me that if it comes on the 26th, probably not legal for the Ace Championship. But if it came out on the 25th, then maybe, because 1 day can make a huge difference, okay? So,
All right.
and if you're an Ace, my thing would probably be deal with it. It's more of a logistical thing for me, whether or not we do it. That's my only hesitation. Play-wise, I would tell you guys are the Aces. You figure it out, okay?
So
Don't complain
keep
to me.